subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
Close to the planned route. As long as one of the nodes on the route is slightly changed, you can drop by. When Noah sorted out the auction items, Ali also wiped out more than 50 members of the Don Quixote family who were hiding in Hong Kong and destroyed all the phone bugs. On the other side, the members of the Don Quixote family on the island were also killed one by the elite members of the Noah family, and all the phone bugs were also destroyed. Less than an hour, the entire desert island has been deserted. The members of the Don Quixote family and the guests who participated in the auction all died tragically here, and their belongings were looted. North Blue Borean Islands. Bang! Veins popped out on Doflamingo's forehead, and he smashed the desk with his fist. On the side, Rosinante showed a hint of sadness under her clown makeup. Torpol, who is responsible for managing the family business, has an extremely gloomy face. Doflamingo gritted his teeth and smiled sinisterly. Huh. Check it for me. I want to see who it is that is so bold. Dover, I will definitely find the murderer. Torbol clenched his fists. Rosinante, who was pretending to be mute, was thinking about how to report this matter to the Warring States period. Compared to the angry Don Quixote family, on the South Blue side, the massacre on the desert island in the White Mountain Kingdom also triggered a strong reaction. The nobles, big businessmen, and gang leaders who participated in the auction in Baishan Kingdom and more than a dozen surrounding kingdoms were all caught up in one fell swoop. This caused a vacuum of power in these places in a short period of time, and those forces that responded quickly organized manpower to seize these vacated territories or businesses. At the same time, Hart Island in South Blue. Marine has arranged the South Blue 201 base here, which is also the residence of Marine's South Blue Admiral. However, at this time, Brigadier General Oster, the South Blue Admiral, was respectfully leading a tall, lazy, middle-aged Marine around the base. Lieutenant General Kazan, I wonder how long you will go back to your hometown for vacation this time? Just as Kazan was about to answer, the phone bug in his pocket rang. Brr. Kazan waved his hand, then picked up the phone. Brigadier General Oster on the side immediately ordered. Others should be on guard around the area immediately. After saying that, he quickly retreated to the distance, leaving space for Kazan. Kazan answered the phone. Hello, I'm Kazan. Lieutenant General Kazan, this is the staff office of the headquarters. I am Kong Ming. Just now, the South Blue Intelligence Office sent an emergency incident. I will keep the story short. After listening to Kong Ming's explanation, Kazan's expression did not fluctuate at all. What does the Warring States General mean? Your Excellency, the General, hopes that you can drop by the White Mountain Kingdom to investigate, but the mission of capturing Crescent Moon Hunter Katrin Daime remains unchanged. It's really troublesome? Okay, I'll stop by and have a look. Kazan hung up the phone and found another sunny lawn to lie down on. The adjutant who came with Kazan immediately arranged warships and supplies. In fact, similar to high-level Marine combat forces like Kazan, the Marine headquarters usually gives them some of the more difficult tasks in Sea to handle on the grounds of approving the other party to go back to Sea for vacation. For example, GARP returns to East China Sea every 3 days, causing the quality of pirates in East China Sea to plummet in the past 2 decades. This time Kazan went back to South Blue for a vacation, and the accompanying task was to capture Katrin Daime. It's not that Katrin Daime is so powerful, but this woman's behavior makes many nobles of the franchise countries very scared. Coupled with the transformation ability of Nine-Tails Fox Fruit, it is difficult for South Blue's Marine to capture her. But Kazan didn't know that Katrin Daime had become Noah's prisoner and was being imprisoned in the card. Chapter 62 Fierce Fight. Noah and his party did not pay too much attention to the impact of the desert island incident. The main reason is that Noah has confidence in his own strength. Unless he encounters the 5 elders who go out to encircle and suppress him, he is really not afraid now. Even if you can't beat him, you can use Arse Wormhole to escape, or you can temporarily use Pia Piao Fruit to leave directly from high altitude. Therefore, Noah chose to take Galdino, Crow, and others to continue wandering in the White Mountain Kingdom, looking for the sound fruit hidden here. More than a week has passed without realizing it. Noah and his team searched 8 islands in the Baishan Kingdom and finally found the sound fruit stuck in the crevices of the cliff on the edge of a cliff on the 8th island. After harvesting another devil fruit, Noah no longer had the idea of staying in the White Mountain Kingdom. The Wonkai adjusted its direction and headed towards the Lost Sea further south. However, just as the Wonkai left the Baishan Kingdom, it encountered a marine fleet head-on. Noah, who was drinking tea and reading the newspaper, didn't pay much attention to these marines. After all, he was flying the flag of a merchant ship. Unfortunately, sometimes just because you don't want to cause trouble doesn't mean that trouble won't come to you. Stop the ship immediately and accept marine inspection. A small warship shouted with a loudspeaker not far away. Crow glanced at Noah, who nodded. Then Wonkai stopped. The small warship also anchored nearby. Soon a lieutenant colonel, wearing a marine justice cloak, jumped onto the deck of Wonkai. Crow immediately showed a fake smile. "Mr. Lieutenant Colonel, we are good people. This is the qualification certificate and pass for commercial transport ships." The lieutenant colonel took the pass and qualification certificate, glanced at Crow again, and found that the other person's appearance did not appear on the wanted poster, and then nodded. "We are just doing a routine inspection. Is it convenient to enter the cabin?" Crow nodded. "No problem. I'll lead the way." Suddenly, a soldier said a few words in the lieutenant colonel's ear, and the lieutenant colonel immediately looked at Noah and Galdino, who were drinking tea not far away. Crow also noticed this scene, and he explained with a smile. "Mr. Galdino is hired by our trading company to escort Bounty Hunter Candleman Galdino." The lieutenant colonel did not suspect anything. After all, it is very normal for a transport ship to hire a bounty hunter to protect it. But soon things suddenly changed. I saw that the sea around the Wonkai was quickly frozen. A streak of ice and snow gathered on the deck. "Have you been to that desert island?" Noah patted the ice particles on his clothes and glanced at the tall, middle-aged man in front of him. "Why do you think so, Lieutenant General? You smell like paradise mushrooms." "I see, you Marines also have the ability to sense smells?" Noah asked with a smile. Kazan's eyes under his glasses became more solemn. "Why don't you go back to Marineland with me and cooperate with us to investigate the Baishan Kingdom Desert Island incident? If it is a misunderstanding, we are willing to compensate your trading company for its losses." Lieutenant General Kazan is so confident. The next second, a violent and solid conquerors suddenly erupted. Boom! Hundreds of sailors on the small warship fainted instantly. "Are you going to resist?" Kazan's body temperature dropped rapidly. "I want to weigh you, the future Marine General, to see if you are worthy of your name." Gloves of ice, fist of high fever. Boom! The steel fist, which was hotter than ordinary magma, instantly smashed through Kazan's ice glove. But Kazan did not retreat but advanced, and the ice saber swept towards Noah's neck. Wings of iron sand, high-frequency shock knife. Bang, bang, bang. Even though Kazan maintained his skates at all times, the skates were still torn apart when faced with the iron sand blades that continued to vibrate at high frequencies. Iron Sand Tornado. The card in Noah's sleeve releases dozens of tons of iron sand. At the same time, the body's mimic rubidium magnet mode turns on 100% power, and the blood flows faster, turning the body into a humanoid generator. Countless iron sands were spun up, forming a terrifying iron sand tornado. Kazan immediately formed several ice walls, not because he needed defense, but to protect the ordinary sailors. The group of sailors who followed Kazan from the Marine headquarters, led by Adjutant Kazan, quickly took away the Marine Lieutenant Colonel and a dozen sailors from the Wonkai. Crow and others who were also on the Wonkai quickly left the fighting range of Noah and Kazan to avoid being affected. Of course, Crow, Gardino, and others are also highly vigilant around them to avoid sneak attacks from other Marines and are always ready to support Noah. The iron sand tornado and the blizzard collided fiercely in midair. Kazan's expression became more solemn. Hockey ball. 5 icicles exploded from the ice sheet, shooting directly at Noah in the iron sand tornado. Noah's body has shown a dazzling red color. Furnace meteor. As soon as he flew into the sky, A large piece of easily melted alloy steel sand was quickly electromagnetically heated to a molten state, and then condensed into basketball-sized molten iron balls from high altitude. Hundreds of molten iron balls fell from the sky. It all happened in the blink of an eye. When Kazan saw this scene, he immediately thought of a colleague who he couldn't deal with, and then raised his hand to make a move. Exploding pheasant mouth, ice birds soared into the sky, and iron balls fell from the sky. Boom, boom, boom. Noah's sight and color instantly sensed the danger. In an instant, he accelerated with a magnetic levitation and avoided the sea tower stone bullets that hit from not far away. Other officers from Marine headquarters? The next moment, the Hailu stone bullet was burned and evaporated by the flames. Lillian appeared not far from the ice field. It was obvious that Ali had secretly pulled several senior combatants from the family over to prevent Noah from being beaten by Marine. Kazan looked at Lillian, who was burning. A person with the ability to burn the fruit? Among the Marines from the headquarters who followed Kazan, a brigadier general with 2 swords rushed out, covered with an armed and domineering long sword, and sent out a fierce, slashing wave. Don't think that just because Logia can do whatever you want. Brigadier General Dual Knife stepped on the moonwalk and rushed towards Lillian. Lillian didn't look nervous at all, and her hands erupted with blue flames. I'm not one of those guys who can only make fires to cook. The roar of the fire dragon. The dark blue flame dragon instantly evaporated the incoming slashing wave and rushed towards the double-sword brigadier general. Not good. Kazan's expression changed. Ice Age, 2 Thorn Spear. The freezing breath caused the fire dragon's temperature to drop a bit, but the terrifying high temperature of 4,990 degrees Celsius still couldn't be suppressed in an instant, and the ice spear that followed was only slightly blocked. But this moment was enough for the brigadier general to react. He quickly used continuous shaving to avoid the impact of the fire dragon. The next moment, the fire dragon evaporated into a large pit with a radius of several hundred meters where he had just stood. At this time, Kazan's mouth showed a trace of blood, because he was hit by Noah's molten iron ball just to save someone. Although he used active elementalization, the high temperature naturally restrains those with frozen fruit abilities, so the blow still caused him some damage. At this time, both sides are wary of each other. On Kazan's side, in addition to himself, there are 2 adjutants of the brigadier general level, plus a dozen Marine headquarters colonels, and a dozen warships. On Noah's side, there are Lillian R., Galdino Crow, as well as Joshua and Monet hidden in the sky. Chapter 63, Evenly Matched. Kazan did not expect that things would develop like this. It's like facing a top pirate group in the New World. Hail! Fire-killing black dragon wave. The hail in the sky was like a heavy rain, hitting Noah's side. Lillian swept out several black fire, dragon-shaped shock waves with one fist, destroying the overwhelming giant hailstones. Kill! Fire! Boom, boom, boom. The cannons of more than a dozen warships fired. Galdino clasped his hands together. Explode the locusts! The surrounding glaciers were transformed into a bunch of gray-white locusts in a short period of time. In addition to having a locust bionic structure, these waxy locusts also had specially modified explosive glycerin components in their bodies. The same overwhelming locusts collided with the dense artillery shells. In an instant, an extremely violent explosion erupted in the middle area of the confrontation between the 2 sides. The sun without mercy. Lillian instantly transformed into a small blue sun. Although the radius was only about 10 meters, the terrifying high temperature of 4,990 degrees Celsius on its surface, coupled with the pervasive thermal radiation, quickly evaporated the surrounding glaciers. Becomes water vapor. In the thick water vapor, a small blue sun rushed towards the Marine warship. Kazan immediately mobilized the surrounding glaciers. Ice whale. An ice whale collides with the little blue sun. But Kazan's face was very serious. He sensed Noah's attack, so he could only dodge quickly, and then continued to FK more ice whales to block Lillian's little blue sun. It's just that Kazan's 2 fists are hard to beat with 4 hands. Gardino's detonating locusts have already penetrated some of the warships. Boom, boom, boom. Enemy attack. Pay attention to defense. When Kazan saw the sailors being killed and wounded, he suddenly became furious. Ice Age. Super Blizzard. Kazan. Who are you looking down on? Noah's whole body was exuding red light and heat, and his hands punched dozens of times in an instant. Heat explosion punch. The hot iron fist mixed with the color of weapons made Kazan have to be more vigilant. Boom! A warship in the distance was hit by the little blue sun. In an instant, a large piece of the large warship made of steel and hardwood was gnawed off by the little blue sun, and the gunpowder inside the warship was detonated. Damn it! Kazan became more and more angry. However, the opponent he faced was Noah, who was in a state of intense heat. Although Kazan was better armed than Noah and had the upper hand in physical strength, it was a pity that there was not much difference in strength between the two sides. There was no way to win in an instant. Decide the winner. With Kazan being held back, it would be difficult for him to fully support the other Marines. The members of the Noah family dispatched were Lilith, who was difficult to defend against, and Galdino, who had a stubborn style. Even if there were 2 brigadiers from Marines headquarters, there was still no way to resist. The two sides fought fiercely for more than an hour. 5 of the 12 warships have been sunk, and Marine has suffered heavy losses. Although Kazan was not seriously injured, he suffered a loss. And among the 2 brigadiers, the double-sword brigadier general died tragically under Lillian's little son and was completely destroyed. Kazan once again created a large ice wall, looked at the little blue sun that was still raging, and Noah, whose physical strength had not declined significantly, could only approach his adjutant. Gut, let everyone disperse and use the squad as a combat unit. Don't gather together. Try to focus on dodge. Yes, Lieutenant General Kazan. Adjutant Gut also knew the danger at this time. Kazan clenched his fist. Ice blast. Boom, boom, boom. The glacier under Noah's feet suddenly erupted, and a large amount of ice sputtered in all directions. Super blizzard. Frozen time capsule. Kazan suddenly emerged from under the glacier and appeared behind Gardino. He instantly froze Gardino and was about to smash the opponent with a fist. But Kazan suddenly retreated backwards and activated active elementalization at the same time. Boom! Gardino's body suddenly exploded, destroying dozens of meters around it. Clone. Sneak attacks are not a good habit. Lieutenant General Kazan. Noah's iron sand swept across. The high-frequency vibrating iron sand sword and ice saber collided again. Boom! Another warship was destroyed by Little Sunday. At this moment, Noah suddenly felt a strong sense of crisis. He made a magnetic levitation turn and put a layer of iron sand shield on himself. A laser penetrated the iron sand shield. Under the distortion of the magnetic field shield on Noah's surface and the reflection of the steel mirror, the laser was refracted. Kazan, you are really in a mess. A middle-aged man with a somewhat wretched face appeared next to Kazan. Don't be careless. These guys are not simple. Then let me see how extraordinary they are. The 8-foot Magatama. Porcelino condensed countless light bullets with his hands. Boo-hoo-hoo. Boom, boom, boom. The light bullets shot out at extremely high speeds were as dense as raindrops. Thunder. Kylan. A thunder unicorn full of destructive aura descended from the sky, instantly annihilating a large swath of light bullets, and pressed towards Porcelino. Porcelino looked surprised, but quickly counterattacked. How terrible! Heaven is shining. A super-giant burst of light shot toward the Thunder Kirin. Point to point, the collision of thunder and lightning made the world light up. A terrifying explosion occurred between the collisions. A mushroom cloud rose from the glacier. A large crater with a radius of about 1 kilometer was instantly created. The accompanying shock wave was like a super hurricane. Kazan quickly pulled up a large glacier to protect the Marines behind. The two sides also distanced themselves at this time. After a few minutes, the water vapor slowly dispersed. Kazan, Porcelino, and Brigadier General Gut looked at the enemy in the distance, and their presence had been sensed by their sight. Noah, Lillian, Galdino, and Joshua also looked at Marine across from them. For a while, neither party took action. It's really scary. Steel fruit, burning fruit, wax fruit, and thunder fruit. Porcelino seemed to be joking, but in fact he was really serious at this time. Kazan's face was also very solemn. He did not expect that there was a Logia hiding around him. If the other party attacked him just now, it might cause him big trouble. After Noah saw Porcelino appearing, he also gave up the idea of killing Kazan here. After all, Kazan at this time has the strength of a general. It is too difficult to kill a Logia general. Originally, he planned to let Joshua, who was lurking in secret, give Kazan a fatal blow at the critical moment. But it was a pity that Porcelino arrived too quickly. Withdraw! As soon as he finished speaking, a large piece of water vapor enveloped Noah and others. Ars wormhole opened, and everyone disappeared on the glacier instantly. Huh? Gone! Porcelino raised his eyebrows. Kazan's sight color also sensed the enemy's disappearance. However, the two of them did not act rashly, but continued to guard their surroundings. After more than 10 minutes, the two of them relaxed a little after finding that there was no more abnormality. Kazan turned his head and ordered, "Gut, start rescue immediately." Yes. You took a moonwalk and flew to the location of other Marines. Porcelino took off his glasses, wiped the water vapor on them, and asked in a low voice, "Who are these guys?" "I don't know. It was during the investigation of the massacre on the desert island in the Baishan Kingdom that I discovered that they might be the murderers, so I fought with them." At this time, Kazan suddenly felt a headache as to how to deal with the aftermath. Chapter 64 Marine Emergency Meeting the Grand Line, Paradise. Marine's main headquarters is Malinfando. Even Cyborg Kong, who was in a semi-retired state, was shocked by the news from South Blue. Inside the Fleet Admiral office, in addition to Gongu Kong, it is rare for other Marine senior executives at the headquarters to gather together, including Marine Grand Instructor Black Arm Zifa, Marine Hero Tekkengarp, Grand Staff Crane, Lieutenant General Flying Squirrel, Lieutenant General Guion, and others. While Sakaski is in the North Blue, Sengoku is stationed at the G1 base of the New World, and Kaji is in the West Blue to wipe out the pirates. As the Chief Staff Officer, he also takes care of the work of the Marine Intelligence Department, so it is up to her to make a comprehensive report on this matter. According to Kazan's report, there are currently 6 confirmed enemies. Colonel Brand New, who belonged to the Intelligence Department, immediately projected the picture on the curtain on one side. The young man who is suspected to be the leader is a user with the Iron Fruit ability. He possesses 3 colors of domineering, and his physical and sword skills are also strong. His fruit ability is extremely powerful. Photos of Noah in disguise appeared on the curtain, as well as photos of many moves. The Flying Squirrel was very surprised. Wasn't the last ability user of the Iron Fruit just annihilated by Sakaski a few years ago? It's only been a few years since this guy got the fruit, right? He can actually develop it to this extent. The Marine executives present, seeing the introduction of Noah's row of ability moves, couldn't help but sigh that Noah's depth of development of the Steel Fruit has reached a new peak among previous Steel Fruit users. High heat, mirror, magnetic field, current, iron sand control, one fruit can be used as several. The second target, a blonde girl, is estimated to be under 18 years old. She is a user with the ability to burn the Logia fruit. She has a weapon color and a knowledge color. She has no performance in physical swordsmanship for the time being. Her ability development is also very powerful. Brigadier Mad Bull was attracted by her. Killed. On the curtain, Lillian wearing half a mask appeared, as well as the little blue sun. Burning fruit. Garp looked at the curtain carefully. The last burning fruit user was punched into the sea by his fist, but it was as if he was meeting the burning fruit for the first time. Are the flames of the burning fruit blue? Zifa tried hard to recall the information in Marine's internal confidential archives, and found that the flames of all burning fruit users were orange-red. This was the first time that such blue flames were present. Appear. The Flying Squirrel expressed his guess. Could it be that the devil fruit ability has awakened? Awakening? It's indeed possible. Zifa could only temporarily attribute this situation to the awakening of the fruit's ability. Then he said, the third target, South Blue Bounty Hunter Gardino, is also the only target whose identity has been confirmed so far. He has the Wax fruit ability. He has the power of knowledge and domineering, but the arm domineering has not been reflected, and his fruit ability has not been reflected. Developed very powerfully. On the curtain, a photo of Gardino, and some introductions to his moves appeared. The fourth target is a young black-haired man with the Logia Thunder Fruit ability. He had a fight with Porcelino, and Porcelino described him as having the ability to destroy islands. On the curtain, it was replaced by Joshua wearing a cat mask, and there were photos of the Thunder Unicorn and the Shining Heaven colliding. Another Logia? Still such a powerful Logia. There was a hint of fear in Guillaume's beautiful eyes. The fifth target is a young man with glasses pretending to be a merchant ship supervisor. He has no performance of fruit abilities. He has Grandmaster arms and wisdom. He can use a silent physical technique, and his weapons are a pair of claw blades. The curtain then changed to a photo of Crow, also in disguise. The sixth target is a young man with green hair who doesn't have much presence. He is suspected to be a user with some kind of space-type devil fruit ability. He is the one who helped other targets retreat. The photo on the curtain changed to Ali wearing a black mask. Cyborg Kong rubbed his temples. What do you think we should do with this force? Crane was not moved by the two Logia and several powerful Paramecia. After all, she had seen the three royal groups in New World, as well as the former Rocks Pirates and Roger Pirates. She put down the document in her hand. Fleet Admiral, judging from the behavior of this group of people, I don't think they are pirates who are looking for treasure, but it is precisely because of this that I think they are a greater threat. Yeah, Sora nodded. In Sora's eyes, those pirates who burned, killed, and looted on the sea were nothing more than a plague of scabies and could not threaten the world government at all. He continued to analyze. Judging from the strength shown by the other party, this group of people cannot be an organization developed from all over the world, but a secret organization developed from the Great Line. Its purpose is the direction we need to focus on next. Could it be the Revolutionary Army? Flying Squirrel asked in a low voice. Suddenly, the atmosphere in the office became extremely awkward. Of course, he knew the reason for such embarrassment, but she knew there was no need to reveal the matter, so she continued to analyze. It is unlikely that these people are revolutionary troops, because people with conquerors will not give in to others easily. I don't think Long has the strength to overwhelm this group of people. Ha ha ha, indeed. The unfilial son's strength cannot suppress these people. Garp laughed, then picked up a bag of senbei and ate it. He and Kong didn't say anything, but Zifa frowned, but he also didn't speak. It was difficult for everyone present to comment on the dragon matter. I propose to arrest this group of people in the name of a terrorist organization. Regarding his proposal, Kong thought for a while and nodded. Let's do it. He continued to suggest. In addition to the wanted warrant, we should strengthen the intelligence investigation of this organization. It cannot be like this time. If Porcelino hadn't arrived in time, Kazan and others would have been in trouble. I will discuss it with Lord Five Elders and ask CP to cooperate with us in investigating this organization. Kong Jiang took over the task of communicating with Five Elders. In addition, Porcelino, who is the most mobile, cannot continue to stay alone in the Sabaody Islands. A lieutenant general must be sent to replace him in the Sabaody Islands, so that we can dispatch Porcelino to support others at any time. Kong nodded. Well, Porcelino should indeed serve as the core force of the General Reserve Team to avoid the situation of being unable to provide support in time. Soon the Marine Headquarters discussion on Noah and his group was completed. The relevant wanted warrants were also worked overtime by the Marine Headquarters. Early the next morning, more than a dozen newspapers under the world government, as well as the well-informed World Economic and Social News Agency, reported the wanted order and the content of the incident after the magic change. Suddenly, the whole world was in an uproar. Naturally, he would not be so kind as to help Noah and his gang gain fame, but would instead deliberately flatter them. The strength of Noah and his gang is described as being comparable to the Sea Emperor of the New World, as if Noah and his gang can immediately become the Fourth Sea Emperor as long as they are willing to enter the New World. This is obviously a deliberate attempt to sow discord, so that the big pirates in the New World will focus on Noah and his gang, hoping to use this opportunity to expose more detailed information about Noah and his gang during their fight with other big pirates. And Morgan's, the Birdman, even made a sensational headline directly on the news headlines. Chapter 65, Shocking the Sea Upside Down Mountain Canal Exit. Twin Gap Lighthouse. The red-haired Shanks, who had just recovered from a serious illness, was chatting and laughing with Kakaros. Suddenly, a little girl with white hair and red hair ran in with a newspaper and shouted breathlessly, "Shanks, today's newspaper said that a new emperor of the sea was born." What? Beckman took the lead and took the newspaper. After reading the World Economic News, Beckman frowned. Shanks took a sip of wine and asked half-jokingly, "Beckman, has the Fourth Sea Emperor really appeared?" "No, but this matter is a bit complicated. Take a look at it yourself." Beckman handed the newspaper to Shanks. Shanks looked at it for a while, and his face became serious. What a powerful force. The other members of the red-haired pirate group also looked at newspapers and wanted posters. Iron Man, with a bounty of 2,038.27 million Baileys. A user with the Iron Fruit ability, Grandmaster 3-color domineering and swordsmanship. Leader of the Hidden Man organization. Planned the White Mountain Kingdom Desert Island Massacre and massacred Marine soldiers. A heinous crime, regardless of life or death. The Blue Flame Witch with a bounty of 1.81432 million Baileys. A user with the ability to burn the burning fruit. A Grandmaster with 2-color domineering, and a member of the Hidden One organization. She participated in the massacre and killed Brigadier Marine. It is a heinous crime, regardless of life or death. Candleman Gardino, with a bounty of 554.1 million Baileys, a user with wax fruit ability, able to use the hockey of wisdom and information, a former South Blue bounty hunter, a member of the Hidden One organization, participated in the massacre. Killing a large number of Marine soldiers have committed extremely heinous crimes, regardless of life or death. Lei Lin, with a bounty of 1.59825 million Baileys, a user with the Thunderfruit ability, possessing the ability to destroy an island with one strike, a member of the Hidden Organization, and participated in the massacre. He is guilty of a heinous crime, regardless of life or death. A man with cat claw glasses with a bounty of 336.98 million Baileys, Grandmaster of Domineering and Physical Skills, using a special cat claw blade, a member of the Hidden Organization, and participated in the massacre. He committed a heinous crime, regardless of life or death. Mysterious man with green hair and mask, with a bounty of 1,011,040,000 Baileys. He is suspected of having space-like devil fruit abilities. He can transfer others on a large scale. He is a member of the Hidden Man organization and participated in the massacre. He is guilty of the most heinous crimes, regardless of life or death. Tulogia, this is indeed powerful. Jesus sighed while fiddling with the sniper rifle. Beckman took a puff of his cigar. The key is that the opponent was able to kill a Marine headquarters brigadier in front of Akiji Kazan. This shows that Akiji was suppressed by the opponent at that time. Moreover, Kazuru was added later, but there was still no way to take down the opponent and let the opponent retreat unscathed. Obviously, two would-be generals couldn't take down this organization. Shanks' eyes were deep, and he didn't know what he was thinking about. Kakaro's, who was on the side, smiled and joked. Are you thinking too much? The people who really have a headache now should be Marine and world government. You are indeed Mr. Ship's doctor. Shanks picked up a glass of wine and drank it in one gulp. Kakaro's glared at Shanks angrily. You're so embarrassed. You're lucky this time. That sick fruit ability user didn't develop the fruit well. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to survive the Twin Gorges. Hurry up and find a professional, the ship's doctor. Give him the medical book I gave you, by the way. The old man has no way of sailing with you. Thank you very much, Mr. Ship Doctor. Shanks thanked him with a smile. Grand Line, New World. In a calm sea, several large whale-shaped sailing ships were sailing slowly. The largest sailing ship among them had the letters Moby Dick painted on it. Dad, the New World may be about to usher in the Fourth Sea Emperor. Josie, the captain of the 3rd Division, shouted to Whitebeard with a newspaper. At this time, Edward Newgate, whose hair had not completely turned gray and whose white beard had not yet completely turned gray, and who did not have the diaphragm needles that would have been there for more than 10 years, glanced at the newspaper. Are world government and Marine planning to kill someone with a borrowed knife again? What a boring trick. Captain Burmank of the 6th Division laughed. Whatever, I think the Hidden Man organization is probably not that big of a deal. If the other party wants to come to New World, we, the Whitebeard pirates, are not afraid of them. That's right. Dad is the strongest in the world. How can a group of guys who don't even dare to show their true colors compare with our white-beard pirates? Huh? With Dad here, there is nothing to be afraid of. Marshall Teach, who was hiding himself, also laughed, but there was really no fluctuation in his heart. As long as the person with the ability of the dark fruit does not appear, he would just don't care. Also in New World, the country of Wano is located in the Central Sea area of the New World. In Onigashima, the base camp of the Beast Pirates, the handsome face under the steel mask of Yen Banjin, the general manager, also became a little serious after hearing the report from overseas intelligence personnel. Suddenly, in the small square outside, there was another fierce collision and the scream of a girl. Master Kaido has started again, and Master Yamato is really... I'd better report this matter to Master Kaido at night. Jin shook his head helplessly. Although Noah and his gang showed great strength, they were not the animal-type ability users that Kaido liked after all. In addition, the other party did not clearly want to enter the New World, so naturally Jin would not be too anxious to report. New World, Totland Sea. Deep inside the dessert castle on Cake Island, the fat woman who was devouring desserts crazily became a little unhappy when she saw her eldest son walking in. Mom, Perispero, you should know the consequences of disturbing me from eating desserts, right? Charlotte Perispero, who was sweating heavily on her forehead, quickly said briefly, Mom, the main reason why I disturb your meal is because a big event happened at sea. Both Marine and Morgans are building momentum for the Fourth Sea Emperor. Well, the Fourth Sea Emperor? Which BD was pushed out. Charlotte Linlin still had some IQ when she wasn't going crazy. Perispero quickly, briefly explained the situation. It's a force called the Hidden Ones. I heard that the other party could fight against Akiji Kizuru. They also killed a brigadier general of the Marine headquarters and finally escaped unscathed. Charlotte Linlin was a little confused. Oh, why haven't I heard about this organization's information? Perispero explained quickly. I just communicated with the Underground Kings, including the Morgans, and they all said they had never heard of this organization. However, the strength of this organization is indeed very powerful. Among the 6 currently known members, they include the 2 Logias, the Thunder Fruit user and the Burning Fruit user, as well as the very powerful Steel Fruit user, Waxu. Among the Fruit ability users, there is also a suspected Space-type ability user. When Charlotte Linlin heard about the 2 Logia ability users, her eyes immediately gleamed. Well, immediately send someone to investigate this organization. I want to know all the information about this organization. As soon as Perispero heard his mother's instructions, he knew what the other party was thinking, and it was obvious that he wanted to make some kind of marriage or something. But this time, Perispero was not optimistic about his mother's idea. After all, the organization was too powerful and marriage was unlikely. Chapter 66, Between Powers, additional update. The conflict between Noah's gang and Marine, and the subsequent issuance of the Wanted Order, not only shocked the great pirates in the New World, but also surprised the 5 elders of Marijoa. Marijoa. Among powers, Saint Satan's eyes were extremely stern. This organization is most likely the force that took away the civilians of Free Fans. Saint Pitt frowned. A space-type Devil Fruit user? The Gate Fruit is in CP9. The whereabouts of the teleportation fruit are unknown, so it's hard to determine. It doesn't matter. The key is this girl. Saint Wucheli held a photo, which showed Lillian in the form of a small blue sun. Saint Nashalang stroked the long sword in his hand. Can the burning fruit also turn into the sun? Is the search for that fruit still fruitless? CP is still searching secretly, but you should know that that fruit has self-awareness. Saint Satan was a little helpless. A trace of solemnity flashed in the eyes of Saint Nazho Lang. The fruit, and the surgical fruit, must be found as soon as possible. The time is almost there, and we have to speed up the plan. Saint Wucheli stroked his beard. The Shichibukai project has only confirmed Crocodile and Moria. CP is in contact with Marine Hunter Mihawk and Terrorist Weapon Dahlia. There are currently no suitable candidates for the other candidates. Where's Achiku? Nazho Langsheng raised his eyebrows. He refused. Saint Wucheli explained casually. Saint reminded. Let CP choose the right one as soon as possible. The Shichibukai plan is of great importance, but I need to implement a plan in the near future. If it succeeds, I might be able to get a useful Shichibukai. That escaped slave from the Valley of Gods? What do you think of that Xiaoxiao fruit girl? Let CP investigate with all its strength. Once traces of it are discovered, I will personally take CP0 to take action. Although it is unlikely that it will become the new sun, I would rather kill the wrong one than let go of a potential threat. Agree. And in the small garden deep among the flowers, a dancing white butterfly is slowly landing on a finger. On the stone platform nearby, there are several photos which are photos of Lillian. At the same time, the Grand Line, the kingdom of Kamabako in paradise. The temporary headquarters of the Revolutionary Army hidden here also received today's newspaper. Dragon, something big happened. Ivankov slipped in with a strange dance. Long, who was worrying about the supply and weapons channels, put down the pen in his hand. Ivan, what happened? Look. After taking the newspaper, Long glanced at it. His pupils suddenly shrank, and then he stared at the newspaper and the reward notices intently. After a while, he sighed. What a powerful force. It can basically be compared with the Sea Emperor of New World. Ivankov suggested. Long, why don't we get in touch with this force? Judging from what the other party has done, it should not be a terrorist organization with many evil deeds. Long thought for a moment. Well, at the Desert Island auction in the White Mountain Kingdom of South Blue, some underground forces were involved. As for the massacre of Marine, it was probably a conflict between the two parties. I agree to contact, but we cannot be exposed until we know the other party's true situation. Then let the Seahai branch pay attention. If they find people from the hidden organization, let them contact them secretly. The attention of all forces in the sea. It did not affect the actions of Noah and his party. After all, the Noah family is too mobile. Apostle Shiki's Piao Piao fruit and Arsehole fruit can support large-scale and rapid transfers. Joshua's Thunder fruit, Lillian's Burning fruit, Monet's Snow fruit, and Lilith's Monarch Butterfly fruit all have the ability to fly long distances. In addition, the ARC-001 experimental spacecraft has just been built. This spacecraft, which relies on graphene batteries and wind turbines as its core power, has completed preliminary testing. As long as the Noah family intends to keep it secret, it will be difficult for other forces to pinpoint the whereabouts of the Noah family and infiltrate it. After all, in the face of Mary's emotions, any spy is like an open flame. After breaking away from the battle with Akiji Kizaru, Noah and his party did not set off immediately, but returned to the empty island. Inside the governor's palace on Lion Island, Noah and others summarized the situation of this battle. He took a sip of lemonade and said, "This battle is just an appetizer. The next time we meet someone from Marine or World Government, it probably won't be so easy. I feel that my knowledge is not strong enough. In addition, I need to awaken my armed skills as soon as possible." Galdino first said his shortcomings. In this battle, although he killed a lot of sailors, he also almost killed by Kazan. If it hadn't been for the critical moment when Joshua, who was hiding high in the sky, used brainwave communication to remind him and asked him to use a candle stand-in to hide himself, he would have been shattered to pieces by now. Lillian also talked about her shortcomings. My physical strength is still insufficient. After just using the sun mode for more than 2 hours, my physical strength dropped to less than half. Next, I will strengthen my physical exercise. For Lillian, who is still young, physical strength is indeed the shortcoming that restricts her strength. This is one of the reasons why Noah quickly chose to retreat after seeing Porcelino appear. After all, General Marine can fight without rest for 10 days and 10 nights. In a short period of time, even Noah, who has all the means, and other members of the family, can only temporarily suppress Kazan and Porcelino, but there is no way to kill them within a few hours. Once time passes, reinforcements from the Marine and World Government will continue to arrive. By then, the physical strength of Lillian, Galdino, Crow, and others will definitely drop significantly, and the situation will become extremely unfavorable to Noah's side. Noah made a prompt decision and immediately asked Ali to lead everyone to retreat. Noah was not frustrated by this result, because everyone in the Noah family is still very young at this time. and there is still huge potential that can be tapped. Kazan, Porcelino, and others are already at their peak. In the future, unless they can awaken Conqueror's Haki or achieve the Fruit's full awakening, their strength will not improve significantly. At the same time, this collision also calmed down the arrogance of family members. Everyone who has seen the world's top combat power has obviously realized the gap between the two sides. The key lies in physical fitness and physical endurance. As long as the physical fitness and physical endurance are improved, the Noah family will give birth to at least 4 or 5 general-level combat capabilities. After resting and adjusting on the empty island for more than a month, Noah and his team set sail again. However, Galdino has realized his shortcomings, so he did not choose to follow the boat, but chose to go to the training camp in Rum Kingdom for a year. Noah took Crow, R and others, redisguised themselves, jumped through the wormhole, and once again appeared in the sea near the White Mountain Kingdom. But this time, the ship they were driving was the Nautilus, and they directly chose the submarine mode. The destination points directly to the Lost Sea in the south of South Blue. Chapter 67, The Lost Sea, October 3rd, 1506 in the Hyuan calendar. Half a month has passed since Noah and his team set sail again. During this period, they passed 8 islands, and today, they finally arrived at the edge of the Lost Sea. Noah, wearing a cowboy hat, stood on the bow of the ship, looking at the gloomy sea in the distance. "Brother, the situation in this sea area is a bit strange." Lilith, who came from the Kingdom of Rum specifically for support, was on Noah's side at this time, and her face was very serious. And Noah's knowledge also sensed the strangeness of this sea area. There were storms and tornadoes without warning, coupled with the huge hail that fell from time to time. This sea area was not like South Blue, but like the Grand Line. "Are you sure?" Lilith thought for a while. "If you activate the magnetic field shield and add my monitoring, you should be able to sail." "Then give it a try. If there is really no other way, then we can only let Alii open the wormhole and leave." Lilith nodded, and then took the treasure map she had obtained before, plus the nautical chart information obtained from surrounding countries, and concentrated on monitoring the weather changes within dozens of kilometers around her. The Nautilus quickly sailed toward the depths of the Lost Sea. Hail ahead, left full chord 37 degrees. In the sea directly ahead, about 3 kilometers away from the Nautilus, a large hailstone with a diameter of 5 to 6 meters fell from the dark clouds. "No, defend with all your strength and charge to the right." Noah's body has entered rubidium magnet mode, and a super strong defensive magnetic field immediately enveloped the Nautilus. The next moment, more than a dozen waterspouts surrounded him from all directions. "Get out of my way!" Noah controlled the magnetism and condensed the iron sand into a spear. Electromagnetic gun, continuous fire. More than a dozen electromagnetic cannons blasted towards the sea surface at the bottom of the waterspout. Boom, boom, boom. The fierce impact made the sea surface more chaotic, but it also disrupted the movement trajectory of the waterspout. The Nautilus took the opportunity to pass through the encirclement. At this time, 4 days had passed since they entered the Lost Sea. During these 4 days, situations like the one just now occurred almost every few hours. In order to exercise his body, Noah did not use the Piao Piao fruit to pull the Nautilus to the high-altitude safety zone, but continued to take everyone to ride the wind and waves. Noah did not maintain the magnetic field shield at all times, but asked everyone to take turns to fight against this weird weather. However, after 4 days and 4 nights of rough seas, everyone was somewhat exhausted, and even Noah felt a little tired. Seeing that the Nautilus had safely avoided the waterspout, Noah turned his head and asked, "Lilith, how far is it from the destination?" "It's about 53 kilometers northwest of the sea. If everything goes well, we will arrive at the target island in 5 hours." 5 hours? Then go full speed ahead. The Nautilus continued to move forward against the wind and waves. Obviously, the journey here was not smooth, so it took them more than 3 hours longer than expected to reach their destination. After docking, Noah put the Nautilus away. The scene that came into view at this time was a bit unexpectedly calm. The island is covered with vines, weeds, and moss. Except for the oysters, barnacles, mussels, and seaweed attached to the rocks on the coast, There are no traces of large animals around the coast. Except for the occasional small crabs sneaking around in the cracks of the rocks, they are rarely seen. Other living creatures. After passing through the rugged rocky area on the coast, Noah and his party came to a low hill. There are ruins of buildings. Crow cut through a large vine and saw the outer outlines of many buildings. Following the footsteps of everyone, they went deeper into the ruins of this ancient city. There are ruins covered with moss and vines everywhere. Very clean. Crow opened a collapsed rock wall again and found that there was no gold, silver, or jewelry inside. Noah has already seen some possible truths. As expected, if it weren't for a natural disaster that destroyed this place, the treasures inside would naturally not be left behind. 2 hours later, they came to the ruins of a suspected temple. Noah looked at a mural about sacrifice, with a hint of surprise on his face. It turned out to be a Nika dance. Is this a place of sacrifice for the sun god? Crow cleaned the surrounding stone walls and found more murals. After reading these murals, Noah shook his head. It seems that this is indeed the place of worship for Nika. No wonder it was destroyed. This is the fate of losers. Brother, how to solve the riddle on this treasure map? Lilith was confused while holding the treasure map. Noah read the riddle. Where the sun rises at sunset, colorful lights shine, and the ancient well roars. Actually, this riddle is very simple. The place where the sun rises represents the location. The time of sunset represents the evening of the day, and the colored light reflects the season when the aurora appears. The so-called treasure should be inside the ancient well. The season when the aurora appears in the Lost Sea is April, May or August, and September every year. During these two periods, the sun just rises from the northeast, which means that the ancient well is in the northeast of the island. Soon the group started exploring the place of worship in the northeast direction. However, no building remains were found along the way, and naturally, there were no man-made wells or the like. Noah used electromagnetic waves and visual perception, but still found no trace of the ancient well. Until everyone reached the coast, they still found nothing. Crow raised his glasses. Does that ancient well only appear every evening? Not necessarily. Noah thought again. He searched according to the prompts of the riddle. But why couldn't he find the ancient well? Looking at the rough waves not far away, Noah suddenly had an idea. So that's it. Did the rise in sea level cause the ancient well to be submerged by seawater? He once again concentrated on seeing, hearing, color, and electromagnetic wave induction to detect the nearby seabed. A few minutes later, Noah opened his eyes. Found it. It's on the seabed 2 kilometers away. It's actually on the bottom of the sea. It seems that the impact of rising sea levels is real. Crow didn't expect that this treasure map from hundreds of years ago would indirectly prove the fact of rising sea levels. Noah touched the sea with his hands. Soon the surrounding sea separated to both sides, exposing the seabed. The depth of this sea area was only about 30 or 40 meters. As the sea water is divided, the ruins hidden under the sea are finally exposed. The remains of a building similar to a lighthouse. The upper part of the tower has been completely broken, leaving only the base part, and the ancient well is inside the base. Looking through the remains of those buildings, there is a large ancient well with a spiral stone staircase on the wall of the ancient well. Noah and his party went down the stone stairs. The seawater inside has been drained by the piao piao fruit, and there are still many remaining octopuses, eels, and lobsters in the gaps in the surrounding rocks. It wasn't until I walked down more than 100 meters that I came to the bottom filled with mud. After using the piao piao fruit to remove the mud, a tunnel was exposed at the bottom. After passing through the tunnel, there is a natural cave at the end. However, there are many traces of man-made modifications in this natural cave, as well as a destroyed tunnel. Judging from its design, this should be a dive port. Chapter 68 Storm Islands. The entire abandoned Kiangang Cave has an area of about 20,000 square meters and a height of about 10 meters. There are also more than a dozen small caves dug into the cave rock walls. Noah removed the mud and stones from the ground. There is a rotten and rusty submarine parked on the dock. Although he did not report any expectations for the treasure, Noah did not dissipate everyone's enthusiasm. Let's search separately to see what treasures are here. Soon, everyone separated and carefully searched the dozen small caves, abandoned submarines, and areas covered by stones. Crow removed the rotten wooden door. Wearing a portable respirator and an oxygen bottle, we entered the small cave in front of us. Under the illumination of the flashlight, we saw 2 rows of bookshelves inside the cave. The books on the bookshelves were already in a state of piles. Fortunately, some books were made of special sea animal skins that could withstand the corrosion of seawater. Crow picked up one of them and flipped through a few pages. Another unknown ancient text. Judging from the image, it should be a book introducing plants. They picked out books made of special sea animal skins, more than 200 in total, and also found several nautical charts made of special sea animal skins on the desk inside. The chart above is what the lost sea looked like hundreds of years ago. Inside another small cave, Lilith discovered that there were a large number of ancient characters carved on the rock wall. But part of the content was also carved in universal language, so she could understand this part of the content. In March 866 of the Hainan calendar, the Kingdom of Atlan encountered a surprise attack by the world government, and the kingdom's first fleet was completely wiped out. In May, the world government launched a buster call against the kingdom, and the kingdom's army retreated steadily. In August, Atlan Island, where the capital of the kingdom is located, was destroyed by light falling from the sky. In September, the kingdom guardian Polk, who was lured away by the world government's conspiracy, finally returned to the devastated kingdom, led the remnants of the kingdom's army to destroy 17 marine warships, and killed Marine General Rubio. In October, the 5 elders of the world government suddenly arrived. It was difficult for the guardians to fight against the 5 elders. The remnants of the kingdom's army were completely lost, and the citizens were almost slaughtered by the celestial dragons. The guardians burned themselves with the power of the hurricane fruit in the awakened state. Lives destroying the ships in the waters of Atlan. In November, I took my 6 surviving subordinates back to my hometown of Crab Island, which was destroyed by the celestial dragons, and engraved the historical text here. Lilith looked at the content of that part of the ancient text. Is this one of the historical texts? She told Noah about the situation, and Noah asked someone to make rubbings of the historical text inside. There are not many things in other small caves. The only valuable thing is a set of special techniques carved by the survivor. This special set of technology is called Atlan Deep Sea Diving Technology, which includes sharkskin swimsuit technology, artificial gill technology, deep sea submersible medicine technology, and Poseidon-like breath simulation technology. Noah evaluated this technology. This technology is indeed of great value to races other than fishmen. Sharkskin swimsuit technology is nothing but artificial gills. Deep-sea diving and Poseidon-like breath simulators are very high-tech and have a wide range of uses. Gardino's wax gills and Ajai's graphite gills are both creations of specific fruit abilities. They are most suitable for their own use only, and others can only use them for a short period of time. The artificial fish gills of the Kingdom of Atlan are industrialized products that can be popularized on a large scale. Similarly, deep-sea occult blood medicine is an indispensable consumable for terrestrial creatures swimming in the deep sea. If you do not use deep-sea occult blood medicine, not only will the diving depth be limited, but you will also easily get diving sickness, which may even be life-threatening. The last technology in this set of technologies, Poseidon-like breath simulator technology, provides a relatively safe guarantee for divers. After all, the most dangerous situations when swimming in the sea are often large sea beasts and Poseidons, especially in the Grand Line. Even ordinary marine lieutenant generals would shy away from those terrifying large Poseidons. However, Noah also discovered the shortcomings of this Poseidon-like breath simulator. The sea breath simulator invented by Vegapunk is equivalent to making Poseidon invisible to itself. The Poseidon-class breath simulator is equivalent to simulating yourself into the Poseidon class. The problem is that the Poseidon class is also intelligent, and they can communicate and fight with each other. In other words, if you use a Poseidon-type breath simulator, it may be regarded as a competitor invading the territory by other Poseidon types. This thing can only be used in the 4 seas, and is used to drive away sea beasts. Once it enters the Grand Line, it must be basically deactivated otherwise it may attract the surrounding Poseidon types. Noah ordered his accompanying subordinates to make rubbings of these technical data. After finding no other secret treasures, the group did not leave Crab Island immediately, because he felt that the location of the Lost Sea was good. A user with the ability to awaken the hurricane fruit burned his life and formed a large-scale stormy sea area, turning this sea area into a desperate situation. Now, except for ships that accidentally enter the Lost Sea, almost no one will take the initiative to enter this sea area. The radius of the Lost Sea is about 500 kilometers. According to Noah's observation, there are 13 islands in it. As long as these islands are modified, the Lost Sea can serve as the Noah family's secret base in South Blue. Especially as Luo heals more and more Freyfan survivors, Caucasus Island has almost reached the upper limit of its population, and the Emperor Cumulus on Sky Island is not growing that fast, and there is no way to accommodate several people at once. Thousands of people. After discovering the special environment of the Lost Sea, Noah thought it was very suitable as a new development point. There are storms as a natural barrier, and there are more than a dozen islands in it. Among these islands, the largest one has a radius of about 11 kilometers. Noah quickly took action and moved all these islands to the central area of the Lost Sea. This area was also similar to the eye of a storm and appeared calm. Through sensory perception, Noah knew that this so-called eye of the storm area was actually the area where Atlan Island, the capital of the Kingdom of Atlan, was located. At this time, there was a large bottomless hole on the seabed of this sea area. Apparently, this was the result of Uranus's blow. Noah selected an area with relatively shallow water depth and thick rock formations in the sea near the large cave on the seabed, and placed 13 islands in this area. Then Noah went to the nearby sea and dug out a lot of rocks and sand to fill the bottom of these islands and strengthen the stability of their island bases. Finally, the Storm Islands, composed of 5 large islands, was formed. This marked the official establishment of the Viceroyalty of the Storm Islands. Opened the wormhole, transferred a large number of young men from West Cassis Island, and began to build the Storm Islands. Chapter 69 Adjustment. There are currently 5 islands in the Storm Islands. They are Storm Island, Crab Island, Jinyan Island, Silver Beach Island, and Block Island. The first 4 islands are all natural islands plus some seabed mud and rocks, while the last building Block Island is a combination of 9 small desert islands. The core Storm Island is also the island where Storm City is located. Noah summoned Gyram, who was transformed into an apostle. The cubic fruit played a huge role in infrastructure construction. With Shiki's assistance from the fluttering fruit, a city quickly rose from the ground. The construction plan is like building blocks. Use the cube fruit to directly cut out cubic rock blocks, and then use Shiki to control these rock blocks to stack them in designated locations. For example, to build a house, you only need to cut out a cubic rock block with a length, width, and height of 15 meters, and then divide the inside of the rock block twice, and you can quickly get a 2-story small house. In this way, Storm City soon completed a series of infrastructure projects within a month. It includes a governor's palace for grain warehouses, 16 defensive castles, 12,000 2-story stone houses, an underground sewage pipe gallery system, 2 small reservoirs, and 10 large industrial plants. The population gradually transferred from West Cassis Island has reached 32,000, which can initially maintain various functions of the city. Regarding the positioning of the Storm Islands Governorate, Noah planned to use it as an industrial area. After all, an island like the Rum Kingdom, which is suitable for farming and its status as a member of the world government, is not suitable for the development of industry, especially heavy industry. The empty islands are also not suitable for the development of heavy industry. After all, the empty islands have very few minerals. If you want to develop heavy industry, you can only rely on Noah to move some mineral-rich desert islands to the windless zone. This is not a long-term solution. Since the Storm Islands are located in the eye of the storm, it almost never rains all year round. The islands can only rely on pipeline water for water supply. As for the source of fresh water, it is actually very simple. Because the Jimu Island among the Storm Islands is not completely within the eye of the storm, 1/3 of the area of the Jimu Island is in the storm area, and it is also an area where heavy rains often occur. The Block Island has been transformed into a special terrain. The one-third of the land in the storm area is not only relatively high, but also presents a basin state, so that precipitation can be trapped and fresh water can be transported to both sides of the storm island through pipelines in a small reservoir. Therefore, even if there is no rain all year round on Storm Island, its water use will not be affected. Of course, not all of the storm islands are planned to be industrial zones. For example, Crab Island is more suitable for the development of animal husbandry. Silver Beach Island is suitable for the development of planting industry. Jinyan Island and part of the Jimu Island are suitable for the development of mining industry. With the construction of Storm City initially completed, Ajay, who was in charge of the Ministry of Industry and the Ministry of Science and Education, was also transferred to Storm City to take charge of industrial construction work. Considering the importance of the Storm Islands, Noah transferred Joshua from the Kingdom of Rum as the governor of the Storm Islands. Considering the management work of each governorate, Noah canceled the governorate of West Cassis Island and moved it from the original sea area to the sky above Black Rock Island near the Kingdom of Rum. In order to ensure concealment and safety, almost all the cumulus emperor produced in the past few months were moved to the sky above Black Rock Island to form a brand new sky island. Moreover, West Cassis Island will also serve as the production base of the Cloud Factory. After all, the Black Rock Island volcano can continuously provide volcanic ash containing sea floor stone. Western Cassis Island and the Kingdom of Rum formed the East China Sea Viceroyalty, and the governor was Uncle Joseph. The Sky Island Islands above Gaia Island, together with Burka Island and Gluttony Island, form the Governor-General of Sky Paradise, and the governor is Monet. After redivision and adjustment, the Kingdom of Dawn formed 3 Governor-General areas, namely the Governor-General area of Storm Islands, the Governor-General area of Sky Paradise, and the Governor-General area of East China Sea. As for other small bases, eavesdropping stations, etc., they are assigned to the Supervision Department for Unified Management. Noah and his party stayed in the Storm Islands until the end of the year, and only set sail again after the new year. After more than 2 months of development, the Storm Islands added 4 more mineral-rich islands. These desert islands were formed by the mineral veins he secretly excavated in the Antarctic ice cap by sending Shiki. A large part of the factories that were secretly built underground in the Rum Kingdom were sealed with cards, and then moved to Storm Island one after another with the help of Arse Wormhole Jump. At this time, a large-scale arc dock has been built in the Storm Island Industrial Zone, which can mass-produce medium-sized arcs. In addition, the research on replicating the set of technologies previously obtained from the ruins of the ancient well on Crab Island has also begun. Noah left Gairam in the Storm Islands as the supervisor of the industrial zone, and also to complete Noah's idea of developing the cube fruit. In addition to its huge use in infrastructure, this cubic fruit also has great uses in scientific research and weapons. Because the cubes produced by the cube fruit can be compressed, this feature alone can produce a lot of application directions. For example, if hydrogen is compressed to the extreme, it will turn into metallic hydrogen. The explosive power of this thing is dozens of times that of TNT. If metallic hydrogen is further compressed, the hydrogen atoms in it will undergo a nuclear fusion reaction, triggering a nuclear explosion. Of course, if you want to compress hydrogen atoms to the point where nuclear fusion occurs, you will probably have to wait until the cube fruit awakens to achieve this level. In addition, cubic compression can also produce various high-strength alloys and non-metallic materials. For example, using cubic fruit to compress graphite, a large number of artificial diamonds can be produced. As long as the shipment volume is controlled, these artificial diamonds can bring a steady stream of income to the Noah family. Devil fruit can not only be used in combat, but also in production and life, and can also play a huge role. Therefore, Noah made the best use of Gairam by leaving him in the Storm Islands. If it weren't for the lack of a more suitable trump card, Noah wouldn't even want to stay with Big Bear, a user with the steel fruit ability. After all, the steel fruit can control magnetic fields and generate high heat, which is even more powerful for metallurgy and mechanical processing. However, for his own safety, Noah will naturally not leave the Big Bear in the Storm Islands. At this stage, the super strong body brought by the steel fruit can allow him to physically resist the general. Without the blessing of the steel fruit, once he is defeated by the general, a sneak attack by an enemy of higher level may result in one hit and kill you. Although the probability of a sneak attack on him by a general level enemy was low, Noah did not relax his vigilance. Because the world government still has many hidden cards that it has not revealed, such as the mysterious Knights of God, the Five Elders, and the ancient weapon Uranus. If the world conquest government has a way to determine his identity and sends out the Knights of God to carry out a beheading operation, then the enemy he will face will be extremely powerful. At this time, every apostle on the body may affect the outcome of both parties. Therefore, when Noah went out, the apostles he always had with him must be Shiki and Big Bear. The other apostles were not so important. Chapter 70 West Blue, May 17th, 1507 in the High Yuan calendar. In the Red Continent between South Blue and West Blue, a secret tunnel was dug out quietly, and two small secret bases were set up at both ends of the tunnel. After digging the tunnel, Noah and his team drove a mediocre commercial transport ship, the Prosperity, and began to officially enter the southern waters of West Blue. As for West Blue, the winery had already secretly dispatched more than 20 professional agents at the beginning of last year to carry out secret intelligence work. The person in charge was Shirley. There are currently 6 major teams in the winery. They are Donghai Rum Branch, North Blue Vodka Branch, South Blue Tequila Branch, West Blue Sherry Branch, Paradise Gin Branch, and New World Champagne Branch. The captain of the winery is Tomini, and his subordinate organization is the Inspection Department. As Noah's temporary secretary, Crow has already completed information exchange with Shirley, the head of the West Blue Detachment. Lord Noah, 2 of the 3 targets have confirmed their locations. Let me guess, the confirmed targets are Capone, Becky, and Daz Bones. Crow nodded. Lord Noah has a sharp eye. Noah shook his head. The obvious answer is that the woman is not so easy to locate. That woman naturally refers to Nicole Robin. During this trip to West Blue, he has many targets, including Nicole Robin. As for whether the other party is willing to join, this is not something she can decide. 2 determined goals, which one is closer? Daz Bonus. He has been active in the Tulip Islands recently. He is about 10 days' voyage from us. Then let's go. The Prosperity transported a large number of hardware tools as a cover and quickly approached the Tulip Islands. At the same time, the undercurrent on the sea also became calm as Akiji swept through the entire South Blue. However, a red figure jumped into the cliff of 10,000 meters under the night cover of Maria Joya, who was high above. And all this, the guards on Maria Joya were not aware of it. The red-haired pirates set sail again, and after more than 6 months of sailing, they once again stopped at the Sabaody Islands. Yes, this is not the first time that the red-haired pirates have arrived at the Sabaody Islands. Sabaody Islands, inside Shaki's rip-off bar. Vice Captain, long time no see. Rayleigh, who had just returned from the autumn breeze at the population auction, poured herself a glass of rum. Shanks, aren't you planning to enter the New World? Ha, don't worry. Shanks and Rayleigh clinked their glasses. Forget it, the coder Lao Lei, will not be involved in the affairs of you young people. Let's drink. Rayleigh shook his head mockingly. Shanks smiled and said nothing. After taking a sip of rum, he turned his head and greeted Shaki, who was smoking a lady's cigarette at the side. Boss Shaki is getting younger and younger. If you need anything, you kid, to speak up. Shaki seemed to have read Shank's thoughts. Shank's expression became serious. I want Boss Shaki to help find some information about the CP organization, especially the ship escorting the secret treasure. CP organization? Shaki frowned. What are you looking for? Nothing, just some speculations that need to be verified. Shanks answered ambiguously. Rayleigh on the side guessed something, but he didn't speak. Shaki put out the cigarette butt and said calmly, I'm asking for a very high price, so you have to be mentally prepared. No problem. Shanks looked like he was not short of money, which made Beckman's mouth twitch. Suddenly Beckman asked, Does the boss lady have any information about the hidden organization? Shaki shook his head. No, but if you meet each other, you'd better be careful. Although Marine did not disclose the details of the fight, my informant told me that Akiji suffered some minor injuries at the time, and Kizaru and the person with the Thunder Fruit ability fought against each other. and the two sides couldn't win. So powerful? Beckman fell into deep thought. Shanks smiled confidently. Ha ha, don't worry, Beckman. If we really meet, we will not be weaker than each other. Beckman did not deny Shanks' confidence. But as the vice captain and think tank of the red-haired pirates, he must consider various situations and be prepared just in case. 10 days later, Perfume Island in the Tulip Islands. In a small alley, a big man about 2 meters tall suddenly stopped, his fingers showing a metallic silvery luster. Come out. Slow and rhythmic footsteps sounded on the other side of the alley. A man wearing a white suit and unilateral glasses smiled and said, Dazzle the fast knife? Now that you know it, why ask even though you already know it? You are not interested. Who sent me? I'm not interested in dead people. As soon as he finished speaking, Daz appeared in front of Crow, and the fingers of both hands were inserted into Crow's neck. However, the moment his fingers were inserted into Crow's neck, his expression changed. Because the feeling after inserting your fingers is like entering air. Too slow. Crow's figure disappeared with the wind, but a voice sounded behind Daz. This made Daz's body tense up, and he immediately rolled forward. At the same time, his heels turned into sharp blades and he kicked backwards. But he was too naive. Crow's voice sounded again, this time from the front. In the alley, Daz's face was very ugly. He was just like a wild cat with explosive hair. He was played by an invisible enemy more than 10 times. He couldn't even touch the opponent's clothes. Kakazu, it seems that you have run out of skills. The quick cut fruit is really wasted on you. Dazina, who was already aroused to a high degree of nervousness, suddenly lost his defense. He roared angrily. Oh, you are attacking. Are you scared? Oh, then I will do as you wish. The next second, Daz felt a heavy kick in the abdomen, and his body was kicked more than 10 meters away. However, before he could react, he was kicked again in the back. Daz was like a football, being kicked back and forth by Crow, without even hitting the surrounding walls. Okay, stop playing. Noah on the roof also saw that Daz's strength level at this time was at the level of an ordinary Marine headquarters colonel. This was the result of the fruit's ability. Crow exploded instantly, and his fist covered with armed, domineering force hit Daz's chest. The internal destructive energy instantly made Daz's internal organs feel like they were being shocked by electricity. Daz, who slowly fell down, was gently lifted up by Crow's hand. After capturing the target, the two quickly disappeared into the alley. Back aboard the Prosperity, Noah has no idea of transforming Daz into an apostle, at least not yet. After all, Daz is now a bounty hunter and is only 16 years old, so he is still in the stage where he can be transformed. If there is no way to carry out thought transformation, then the only option is to transform them into card apostles. But Noah believes that the other party will be a talented person who understands current affairs. Chapter 71 Gangster. Daz, who had a headache, opened his eyes and patted his face, and then he could see the surrounding environment clearly. The unfamiliar ceiling, the bed that shook from time to time, and the obvious sound of waves all indicated that he was on a ship at this time. He quickly recalled that he was defeated by a man in a white suit and glasses. It seems that he was taken aboard by that guy, but why didn't he kill me? Did he want to sell himself to a slave trader? Or recruit him? Just when Daz was thinking wildly, the cabin wooden door slowly opened. Are you awake? Eat something and follow me to meet the head of the family later. An elite member of the family looked at the vigilant Daz and said, then put down a plate of food nonchalantly. Gulu. Daz, who was aroused by the hunger of the food, remained silent. After the man left, without any hesitation, he directly picked up the spoon and put the seafood fried rice into his mouth. As for whether the other party would poison him, Daz had no doubt at all, because if the other party wanted to kill him, there was no need to waste a bottle of poison. Just wipe the neck with a knife, and then throw it into the sea to feed the fish. Wouldn't it be more straightforward? After finishing a plate of fried rice, I drank a large bottle of watermelon juice. The next moment, the wooden door was opened again. The temporary crew member looked at the eaten food and threw down a new set of clothes. Change into it. Daz looked at his tattered clothes, then picked up new clothes and put them on. Let's go. Follow the temporary crew to the captain's cabin. At this time, Noah was reading a book, and his body was still surrounded by dense iron sand. Daz's eyes narrowed when he saw this scene. Not only was he shocked by the various changes in the iron sand, but more importantly, Daz recognized the true identity of the elegant man in front of him. "Are you the leader of the Hidden Ones?" Noah raised his head and stared into Daz's eyes calmly. "Are you scared?" "Ah, you're kidding. Who wouldn't be afraid of a monster that can fight Vice Admiral Marine?" "You are honest. I appreciate you even more." Noah's iron sand pulled up a chair. "Sit down and talk." After calming down, Daz sat down directly. "You want to recruit me? There is this idea, but it still needs some time to investigate. What if it doesn't pass? What do you think?" Noah asked with a half-smile. Daz, who has been working hard in the bounty hunting industry for several years, naturally knows what Noah means. In order to keep secrets, such a secret organization will definitely not allow insiders to leave the organization casually. However, Daz was not too disgusted. After all, this world is just like the law of the jungle. Instead, he asked some questions in his heart. "I would like to know, what is the purpose of your organization?" "Purpose?" Noah opened the window and looked at the blue sea and sky in the distance. "I want to liberate the entire world and build a brand new world. A country where all races coexist peacefully, are prosperous, free, and fair." Daz was speechless. He thought Noah would talk about his dream of finding a great secret treasure and becoming One Piece, but he didn't expect it to be this more terrifying dream. "Do you think my dream is unrealistic?" Noah asked with a smile. Daz was silent for a moment and then expressed his thoughts. "Although I do think this dream is a bit far away, I still admire your dream. I never think that my dream cannot be realized, because from the moment I came to this world, my thoughts have taken root and sprouted in this world. Even if I die one day, the thoughts I left behind will still make people happy. My dream came true." Noah's language was very calm, but his courage was unprecedentedly high. Although the aura did not explode, Daz on the side could feel the hot, red, and vast conqueror's aura. "Even if you die because of this, don't you regret it? If you have the ambition to make sacrifices and dare to teach the sun and the moon to change the sky, if you don't have the courage to sacrifice your life, how can you even talk about dreams?" "I understand. Please let me follow your footsteps. I also want to see the so-called New World." "Welcome to join, my partner. You will see a whole new world." Daz stood up and said, "Chief, please give me more advice in the future. You can call me Noah or the head of the family. Of course, if you are outside, you can call me president or boss." "I see." Crow, who had been waiting outside for a long time, heard that Daz had agreed to join the group. So he knocked on the door and came in, and then brought Daz over. New members, especially those with potential, need to be gradually transformed according to procedures. Whether it is ideological education, knowledge popularization, domineering training, physical exercise, and fruit development, these projects will be gradually arranged. On the ship, Crow could only act as a temporary instructor, imparting various knowledge to Daz. After the trip to West Blue is over, Daz will definitely go to the training camp on Rum Island for about a year before becoming a formal member. Unknowingly, Prosperity sailed in West Blue for more than a month. During this period, they passed through 13 islands and found a devil fruit on one of the islands. It is a mantis fruit of the animal type and is considered a relatively valuable fruit. After all, a mantis has the characteristics of flight, great strength, camouflage, and insect perception. If it is developed well, it will be at least a lieutenant general level master. But Noah did not forget the goal of this trip. This day, in the mist and rain, the Prosperity slowly lowered its sails and anchored in White Harbor, Sicily. Noah looked at the members of the Gambino family who were blatantly collecting protection fees on the pier, with a smile on his face. The 5 major mafia families of West Blue are really like earthly emperors. "President, I have just talked with several disciples of the Gambino family, and they said that the day after tomorrow is the date for the Sicilian auction." Crow reported the situation in a low voice. The day after tomorrow? Noah played with the tarot cards in his hand. The probability of Capone Becky participating in the auction is more than 80%. It seems that we just need to wait here and wait. Soon the group checked into a hotel at the port. The entire island of Sicily became more and more lively as the auction approached, but violence and chaos followed. on the island of Naples, very close to Sicily. Capone Becky, who had arrived secretly, looked at the information collected by his men. His eyes were fixed on one of the pages of information, which contained pictures of devil fruits at the auction. Castle fruit? Huh? It seems that we must take action against the Gambino family in advance. Boys, execute Plan B immediately. The combat team will follow me to participate in the auction. Yes, Godfather. With Becky's order, the power of the Capone family almost came out. As one of the 5 major mafia families, the Gambino family will naturally not take it lightly. In order to ensure that the auction can be held smoothly, they have secretly arranged for a large number of masters to be stationed in Sicily. A good show of a mantis stalking a cicada, followed by an oriole, is about to take place in Sicily. Chapter 72, Secret Control, Sicily. San Raphael Cathedral. Noah sat in front of the big clock on the top of the church. Tomini, who came to support through the wormhole, used colorful camouflage to turn the location of everyone into a row of stone statues. While maintaining the sharp edge of his hands, Des tried to stimulate the domineering force of the arm color. He had taken the source blood potion in the past few days, and his physical fitness was rapidly increasing. At this time, he could vaguely feel the armed color in his body. Domineering, Crow poured Noah a cup of black tea and stood aside like a professional butler. The breeze blew gently, and the big minute hand on the back slid slowly, pointing to 9 o'clock in the morning. In a tall building about 1 kilometer away from the church, the Sicilian auction is in full swing. But soon, fierce gunshots and explosions were heard at the auction. The next moment, a wormhole opened next to Noah, and Ali, wearing a white suit and a mask, walked over from the opposite side of the wormhole, carrying a small box. Did you succeed? Fortunately, the castle fruit is here. Ali opened the small box, and inside was the castle fruit. On the other side, Capone Becky went straight to the auction storage room and killed a dozen Gambino mafia guards. With an excited expression, he opened the door of the storage room and then found the small box containing the castle fruit. After opening the small box, there was a castle fruit lying inside. Huh, castle fruit. This is the fruit I have always wanted. Capone Becky picked up the fruit without hesitation and took a big bite. Delicious, huh? Capone Becky suddenly stopped and looked at the flesh after biting into it. The taste was similar to a mixture of cheese and cream, which made him a little confused. It's not that the devil fruit is very difficult. Do you want to eat it? This castle fruit is not unpalatable. He took several more bites and found that it tasted pretty good. But after a while, his face became very sad because he didn't feel the devil fruit's power. Didn't he eat it all? Capone Becky swallowed all the remaining pulp, but after a while, there was still no movement in the fruit's power. How could this happen? Is this castle fruit fake? Damn it, Gambino off. Damn you. Capone Becky clenched his fists angrily. Godfather, Gambino's support is here. Hearing what his younger brother said, Capone Becky's expression turned even worse. Retreat immediately. Boom, boom, boom. The surrounding area was hit by a large number of rockets, and the violent explosion caused heavy casualties to a large number of Capone family members. Capone Becky, who was holding a younger brother to block the knife, already felt something bad. Soon, amid the fierce gunfire and explosions, the number of members of the Capone family around them became fewer and fewer, and finally only Capone Becky and a dozen younger brothers remained. At this moment, Gambino off, the godfather of the Gambino family, came out of the bunker with more than 300 family elites. Becky, hand over the devil fruit and 10 billion Baileys, and I can let you go. Otherwise, ha, Ov, I didn't expect that all this was your plan. I really underestimated you before. Seeing this scene, Capone Becky knew that today was dangerous, but he still pretended to be calm. I have already eaten that fruit. What? Alfu's eyes suddenly became fierce. But I can compensate you. How about 20 billion belly? This left off in a tangle. But Capone Becky's face was very calm. But various thoughts flashed through his heart. Strange. Alf didn't know that the castle fruit was fake. Did he also know that this fruit was fake? Or was he tricked in the middle? However, this result made him more confident to escape. Ovi, the fruit has been eaten by me. If you are sure that you want to die, then I can only use the devil fruit ability to die with you. Even if I can't kill you, I can also severely injure you. Gambino family, you don't want to be robbed by other families, right? Aof became even more confused. Noah and others on the cathedral looked at the secondary simulation of electromagnetic waves. A look of disdain appeared on Crow's face. It's true that the mud can't hold up the wall. I've clearly warned you secretly and let the Capone family sneak attack. Capone Becky. He is indeed a character, but it's a pity that his ambition is too great. This kind of thinking has already been formed, and there is no value in reforming it. Brother, the negotiation between the two parties is over. Looking at Capone Becky strutting away in the picture, Noah had no expression on his face. Act as planned. Yes. Capone Becky and his party after leaving Sicily. He was rushing back to the family's base camp at full speed. Although he did not get the castle fruit this time, Capone Becky completely recognized the idiot nature of Gambino off. Obviously, he did not intend to fulfill the promised 20 billion Baileys, and even planned to take the opportunity to kill the Gambino family. Right now, on the sky, a shadow pressed down. Capone Becky subconsciously raised his head, and his pupils suddenly shrank. Golden Lion? However, Noah had no nonsense thoughts and simply crushed conquerors. Even Capone Becky was instantly stunned and knocked unconscious. The fluttering fruit was patted casually, and the boat and people were pulled high into the sky. Noah was carrying the unconscious Capone Becky, and Luo, who was waiting in the cabin, saw Capone Becky. Is this the target of the surgery? Let's do it. Luo opened the operating room with ease and completely removed Capone Becky's frontal lobe. Noah casually took out the castle fruit, stuffed it into Capone Becky's mouth, and then drew the world from the tarot cards. A golden cocoon surrounds Capone Becky. Soon Apostle Becky was successfully transformed. World, Capone Becky, castle fruit, Apostle Becky, who was kneeling on one knee, greeted Noah with fanatical eyes. My lord, your servant Becky salutes you. Becky, your mission is very simple. Unify the Mafia in West Blue. I appoint you as the interim governor of the West Blue Governor's Region. As commanded. That night, Ali and Noah raided the Gambino family's headquarters. Without anyone noticing, he turned Gambino off into an ordinary apostle and used the bully dog fruit he had obtained before. By controlling off, he quickly took control of the Gambino family. Complete initial control of both mafia families. Then the other three mafia families can be quickly eliminated. Through mutual consumption and secret designs, all the members of these gangs who have committed the most heinous crimes will be eliminated in internal strife. This is also part of the plan. After all, the Noah family will not accept those mafia members who have committed heinous crimes. In this way, the internal purification of the 5 major mafias can be completed secretly. Naturally, Noah does not need to carry out such small things personally. Under the leadership of Mary, the entire inspection department secretly settled in the Capone family and began to conduct a large-scale internal screening to prepare for the next large-scale purge. At the same time, Becky and Off also secretly ordered their subordinates to investigate the whereabouts of Nicole Robin. Chapter 73, Experiment Newfoundland Islands in West Blue West North Blue Domain. The headquarters of the Capone family is on York Island in the archipelago. After more than a month of secret screening and cleaning, Apostle Becky has eliminated the core members of the Capone family and replaced them all with elite members of the Noah family. At the same time, he has also absorbed some of the lower-level members of the Capone family, who can be transformed young man. In order to properly clean up the core members of the Capone family, Becky and Off cooperated many times and planned several sneak attacks on each other, using each other's hands to eliminate dissidents. After the initial internal cleanup was completed, Becky handed over part of the management work to elite members of the Noah family, and she cooperated with Noah to carry out experiments. Inside an underground cave on York Island, a mafioso who was full of crimes had his frontal lobe cut off and became in a state of confusion. Then Noah picked up the cut carp fruit and stuffed it into the other person's mouth. Becky saw the experimental subject eating the devil fruit and then swallowed it into the castle space inside the body. Inside the castle space, several people who were already on standby quickly brought the experimental subjects into one of the rooms. This room was filled with fruits of the same type as carp fruits. Then cut the subject's throat with a knife. As the experimental subject died, the carp fruit information body in his body began to be unbound from the experimental subject's soul. However, as soon as the carp fruit information body separated from the experimental body, it encountered a space barrier that could not be broken through. There is a special space barrier between the castle space and the outside space. Unless Becky opens the exit, the two spaces are completely isolated. The carp fruit information body bumped around in the castle space until 10 minutes later. It crashed into one of the apples and transformed the apple into a carp fruit again. The person responsible for monitoring the room quickly discovered the apple that had turned into a carp fruit and immediately reported the matter to Becky. Outside in the laboratory, Lord Noah, the experiment was successful. Successful? It seems to be as expected. Noah had actually already done some research and speculation on the rebirth mechanism of devil fruit. From the memories of past lives, we can know two ways of fixed rebirth of devil fruit. They are the gravity lock of the dark fruit and the faith lock of alabasta. In addition, Noah also analyzed the third method from the dark fruit method to regenerate the devil fruit permanently, which is space locking. Since the gravity of the dark fruit can attract the devil fruit information body, the alien space should also be able to do the same. After all, the small alien spaces generated by other fruits are relatively independent of the pirate world. The information body of the fruit cannot even break away from the strong gravity. The strength of the space barrier in the different space is higher than the strong gravity. It is bound to be difficult for the fruit information body to break through its blockade and can only be forced into the fruit in the different space. As for the rebirth method of this alien space fruit, why has no one else researched it? The answer is very simple. On the one hand, fruits with different dimensions are very rare. Currently, the fruits with different dimensions are known to be dark fruit, dwarf fruit, ton fruit, castle fruit, swamp fruit, mirror fruit, book fruit, and card fruit. The spaces of the card fruit and the book fruit are static, and there is no way to kill people and get the fruit in the spaces of these two fruits. Therefore, there are only 6 fruits left to implement the plan of killing people and getting results. But without the god's perspective of an observer, the natives of the pirate world rarely think about this and can only rely on luck. In other words, unless the users with the above 6 fruit abilities pull other devil fruit users into a different space and kill them, and there are a lot of fruits in the different space, it is possible to discover the secret of fruit rebirth. And this possibility, among the 6 fruits, those with the ability of the dark fruit have the highest probability of discovering the secret of rebirth. Why do you think so? First of all, the alien space of the gate fruit is the inner world of the pirate world, which means that the alien space opened by the gate fruit is not a portable type. This leads to the fact that the gate fruit does not have the function of storage, and people with abilities will naturally not be able to carry it with them. Store fruits inside. After all, if you store fruits in the other world of the Sabaody Islands, you will not be able to get these fruits when you enter the gate of opening in the new world, which loses the meaning of storage space. The same is true for the mirror fruit. Although the Tunton fruit, the castle fruit, and the swamp fruit have a certain probability, the possibility of capturing a devil fruit user is relatively low. The dark fruit can disable the abilities of the Esper, and the dark space where it can absorb items makes it more likely to encounter the situation where the Esper and the fruit are in the dark space at the same time. If Noah guessed correctly, the reason why Marshall Teach never forgets the dark fruit is because he once obtained the information left by a certain dark fruit user and knew that the dark fruit can suck the killed person into the dark space, and then store the fruit in the dark space, forcing the fruit information body to be reborn in the dark space. But this does not mean that the ability to force the fruit to regenerate is the exclusive ability of the dark fruit. Originally, Noah planned to use the Tunton fruit to create an apostle and then test this guess. However, he found that the castle fruit was more suitable for experiments, so he conducted this experiment. When the carp fruit was placed in front of Noah, the smile on his lips became brighter and brighter. Soon he took out the ability user that had been sealed before. Giro, the one with parrot fruit ability. DK, the turtle fruit user. Austin, the user with earthworm fruit ability. Katrin Daime, a user with 9 tails fox fruit ability. And Diamanti, who was made into a card apostle. These people were not transformed into apostles by Noah, but remained in the sealed cards. Now it is finally time to use them as waste. As for the reason why diamanti was included in the recycling scope, the reason is very simple. Because Diamanti's paper of life is in the hands of the Don Quixote family, and the flying fruit is not cost-effective, so Noah chose recycle the fruit. Send these people into the castle space. Not a moment. 5 freshly baked devil fruits were placed in front of him. Including these 5 devil fruits, the number of devil fruits currently reserved by the Noah family has reached 17. Paramecia's tunton fruit, paste fruit, childlike fruit, sound fruit, and floating fruit. Common species of animals include carp fruit, rattlesnake fruit, red fox fruit, crow fruit, sheep fruit, red spider fruit, mantis fruit, parrot fruit, turtle fruit, and earthworm fruit. The vampire fruit, and the nine-tails fox fruit of the animal-type phantom species. He thought for a while, and then used the phone to instruct Alii to bring the 6 detachment leaders from the winery. As one of the first elite members of the family, being able to stand out and become the leader of the detachment is obviously not just about strength, but more importantly, ability and loyalty. These people have made great contributions to the family's intelligence system that opened up the world and the Great Sea Route. Noah did not continue to store these fruits, but planned to distribute them to these new cadres. After all, the potential of many family members is limited. Even the outstanding cadres will find it difficult to reach the level of Marine Headquarters Lieutenant General with their physical skills, swordsmanship, and domineering. At this time, the value of devil fruit is reflected. Chapter 74 Distribution, the first winery official to arrive. It is Shirley who is in charge of the West Blue branch. She is an ordinary-looking girl with long sea blue hair. She is from the Kingdom of Rum and is 18 years old this year. Then there is Tequila, the head of the South Blue branch, a tall man with light red skin, born as a street child in the Kingdom of Ola and 19 years old this year. The head of the Paradise branch, Jun Songzi, is a black-haired young man with some facial paralysis, an orphan from the Rum Kingdom's mackerel port. He also carries a long sword on his back and is 20 years old this year. Rum, the head of the Donghai branch, is a fat man with a smile and is 19 years old this year. Vodka, the head of the North Blue branch, is a red-haired young man with a big scar on his face, an orphan from Rog Town, 20 years old this year. The head of the New World branch is Champagne, a girl with blonde curly hair, wearing gold-rimmed glasses, an orphan who was abandoned in Orange Town, and is 18 years old this year. Sir Noah. The 6 people greeted Noah respectfully. Noah waved his hand. Sit down, it's been almost 2 years since you graduated from the training camp. I called you here today to reward you for your hard work. Everyone immediately beamed with joy when they heard this, but out of respect for Noah, they did not say anything, but quietly waited for the next step. Noah took out a dozen boxes from the card space. These 14 devil fruits are currently unallocated. You can choose one according to your needs. Looking at the row of small boxes in front of them, everyone's eyes became even hotter. Soon they picked out their favorite fruits. Shirley chose the pulpy fruit. Agave picked the rattlesnake fruit. Rum chose the fluttering fruit. Juniper picked the mantis fruit. Starscream fruit was chosen for the vodka. For the champagne, Nine-Tails fox fruit was chosen. Since you have chosen, then eat it. Yes. Thank you, Lord Noah, for the reward. Everyone couldn't wait to eat the fruit. Although the taste was indescribable, they didn't leave a piece of fruit pulp behind. This is a family rule and a manifestation of their consciousness. Noah is quite optimistic about the fruit chosen by everyone. These fruits are relatively biased towards the intelligence system, whether it is the pervasiveness of the paste fruit, the imitation transformation of the nine-tails fox, or the infrared sensing of the rattlesnake, the environmental sensing of the red spider, the environmental color and flight of the mantis, the fluttering flight and storage compression, both of which can be applied to intelligence theft. After eating the fruit, Noah gave some guidance on how to develop their abilities. Although except for the paste fruit and flying fruit, the others are all animal types, but this does not mean that there are no other development ideas for the animal type. For example, the rattlesnake fruit, as a snake, has general properties such as infrared sensing, hibernation life support, peeling, and toxins. Among them, the characteristic of peeling can be achieved by taking the blood source medicine specially developed by the family, so as to achieve rapid strengthening. Another example is the red spider. The characteristics of this species are rapid reproduction, speed, hiding, and gregarious living. It is also not weak in strength and has the ability to spin silk. All in all, every species has its own uniqueness. Common species of animals can sometimes become very powerful. The key is to find their characteristics. As for fruit awakening of the animal devil fruit is a relatively easy but very dangerous thing. The reason lies in the fact that it is easy to awaken. Being easy to awaken means that the person with the ability has not been able to temper himself and may not be firm enough in his heart, so that during the awakening process, the information body of the fruit will be turned against him. Therefore, Noah solemnly reminded everyone that they should pay attention to the training and strengthening of willpower to avoid being turned into beasts by the fruit information body and failing to awaken when the fruit awakens. As for the development direction of Paramecia's pace fruit and flying fruit, Noah has already imagined a lot in the Book of Demons. Shirley and Rum only need to apply to browse the Book of Demons and follow the above instructions. Ideas are developed. Since Noah was here, Shirley and Rum directly obtained the master copy of the Book of Demons. Rum turned to the part about flying fruits. Regarding the development of the flying fruit, Noah has used the method of ability extraction to make various attempts on himself. Therefore, the Book of Devils has very detailed information about the development of the flying fruit. Rum quickly mastered the various derivative abilities of the flying fruit. Coupled with the two-color domineering he already mastered, his strength is close to that of the Marine Headquarters Lieutenant General. As for the development of Shirley's pulp fruit, this superhuman fruit, many of it was Noah's idea. For example, pseudo-elementalization, non-Newtonian fluid defense, gel shaping, and gel fusion combined with the domineering power of the world. Among them, the gel series has the greatest potential. Although a person with paste fruit ability cannot create paste gel, she itself is paste gel. This means that people with abilities can achieve transformation, deformation, and integration through their bodies being gelatinized. The moment Shirley was hit by a prisoner on the training ground, she instantly turned into a puddle of paste. Then the paste stuck to the prisoner's body like super glue and quickly spread, covered, and wrapped it all over his body. Soon the prisoner suffocated to death because his mouth and nose were blocked with paste. But Shirley is still attached to the prisoner's body and can control him to perform various actions. Noah on the side reminded, even if the bodies of ordinary people are combined, there is no way to increase their strength too much, but you can ask Luo to help transform some special materials. Thank you, Lord Noah, for your advice. The attack power of the paste fruit itself is not too strong, but those who modified it can add various things. With Luo, a user with the surgical fruit ability, human body modification technology is almost at their fingertips. But you'd better not control too many modified people at once. After all, the paste fruit is not a puppet fruit. 2 or 3 is almost your limit. Well, I'll pay attention. Shirley naturally knows the limits of her abilities. Unless she can awaken the fruit, controlling 2 or 3 transformed people will be almost her limit. Based on the current technology accumulation of the Noah family, relatively powerful pirates were used as experimental subjects. After removing the prefrontal lobes, they used various pharmaceuticals for ripening and strengthening to create dozens of major general-level modified humans with a lifespan of only about 10 years. It can still be done. If the original strength of the experimental body is relatively high, the modified person can even reach the level of Lieutenant General. However, after the prefrontal lobe is removed, this kind of modified person is basically a moron. It is difficult to even execute basic commands and can only be controlled by a combination similar to a paste fruit or graphene wires of a graphite fruit. The advantages and disadvantages are very obvious. After the fruit distribution this time, the winery cadres were trained on York Island for a month, and then they returned to the Four Seas and the Grand Line one after another. At this moment, news came from the Gambino family, allowing Noah to set sail again. Chapter 75 past and future August 16th, 1507 in the High Yuan calendar. West Blue, Naples waters. A pirate ship is enjoying a rare afternoon. Captain Dirk took a sip of rum, squinted his eyes, and asked the deputy captain in a low voice, "Has the identity of that woman been confirmed?" One Eye replied in the same low voice, "Well, it shouldn't be wrong, but it's quite troublesome to take action. It doesn't matter. The Kimura family didn't want us to get 50 million Baileys before they were willing to give us that batch of arms and use her to pay the bill." Dirk's wishful thinking clicked. The girl hidden in the cabin, through the ears created by her ability, has heard the conversation on the deck. There was no joy or sadness on her face, as if she was used to this kind of betrayal. However, although her mood did not fluctuate much, she still prepared her small backpack. Suddenly, there was a howl of ghosts and wolves on the deck. "Boss, merchant ship found." "Where?" "To the northwest. It's about 6 kilometers away from us." "Ah, you guys. You've made a fortune. Come closer to me." "Receive." In the cabin, the girl's face showed a hint of reluctance, but now she couldn't protect herself, so she could only pray that the merchant ship would escape quickly. The chase on the sea lasted more than an hour. At this time, the distance between the pirate ship and the merchant ship was less than 200 meters. The pirates on the pirate ship all showed cruel and bloodthirsty smiles, and they were gearing up, preparing hooks and planks to board the ship. However, the next moment, fear and panic appeared on the faces of all the pirates, because there were several people coming out of the air on the opposite boat. Almost in the blink of an eye, Crow and his 5 subordinates stepped onto the deck of the pirate ship. "Quick!" A pirate who was about to speak suddenly felt his throat go cold. Then he fell to the ground and twitched while covering his bleeding throat. Durk looked fierce and brandished a long knife to strike at Crow. "Go to hell for lousy!" "Heart!" As soon as he finished speaking, a hole appeared in Dirk's heart. Crow's figure appeared behind him, holding a still, beating heart in his palm. In the cabin, the girl saw this scene through her ability and was immediately frightened to the point where her hands and feet were cold, and her eyes were full of shock and fear. In her eyes, Dirk, who had a bounty of 35 million Baileys on his head, could easily kill hundreds of ordinary soldiers. But at this moment, Dirk was like a dead dog, collapsed in a pool of blood on the deck, so weak and pitiful. Within a few minutes, the lives of more than 50 pirates on the pirate ship were all wiped out. These pirates were not even qualified to become experimental materials. Crow stood on the deck and picked up a bottle of rum to clean the blood on his hands and a spada. "Aren't you going to come out?" "Miss Nicole Robin." The sound made Robin in the cabin become more frightened and desperate, but she knew that she had no chance to escape. After all, this was the vast ocean. As a person with abilities, she couldn't even swim, so how could she escape? Not a moment. Robin, with a pale face, walked out of the cabin. She said nothing, with an expression of indifference. The corners of Crow's mouth raised slightly. "You are very sensible. Captain, all valuable things on the ship have been collected." 2 subordinates moved out 2 large boxes containing treasures and Bailey. "Then let's go." Crow held Robin's backpack strap and moonwalked directly into the air. The other 5 subordinates also stepped on moonwalk, but 2 of them were still carrying a large box. Crow's legs suddenly exerted force, and in an instant, more than a dozen lanky air blades swept down. The pirate ship was immediately dismembered into more than a dozen pieces, and the wreckage slowly sank into the sea. "Gullah!" Robin swallowed. After a while, the group returned to the Prosperity. Crow took Robin to the captain's room. Noah, who didn't pay too much attention to what was happening outside, looked up and saw Robin with a desperate look on his face. His face was slightly green, but also had a trace of tiredness that had been experienced through many vicissitudes of life. Stopping writing, Noah controlled Iron Sand to pour a cup of black tea to the other party. The steaming cup of black tea floated to the tea table on one side. "Sit down." Suddenly, Robin's eyes were a little startled, and he asked with some uncertainty, "Are you Iron Man?" "The Iron Man of the Hidden Ones organization." Marine's nickname is really vulgar. Noah didn't feel anything about this nickname, but as a cover, it was actually acceptable. Robin finally came to his senses at this time. In fact, she had paid attention to the hidden organization before. The reason was very simple. The man who made her senses extremely complicated had fought against the hidden organization just a few months ago. She calmed down and then sat on a chair nearby. What are you going to do with me? I don't think you will hand me over to Marine for the 79 million Baileys, right? You are very smart. Noah took a sip of black tea and then asked with a smile, "You might as well guess my purpose." Robin thought for a moment. The most valuable thing in me is the historical knowledge in my brain. You need my historical knowledge to achieve certain purposes. Pride and prejudice are indeed inevitable flaws for everyone. Noah fiddled with the planet on the desk. Your historical knowledge is of little value to me because I actually don't have much interest in things from the past. Instead of focusing on the past, it's better to look to the future. Robin's mind went blank for a while, and then he slowly spoke. But I am a historian, and my existence is to explore the history of the past. Yes, so I can't let you leave. Why? Are you, like the world government, afraid of past history? Robin's tone became urgent involuntarily. Noah expressed his inner thoughts very calmly. Because if you become someone else's pawn, it will hinder my plan. I don't want the enemy to gain more power, thus preventing me from subverting the entire world. Robin was speechless. Noah casually placed a book in Robin's hand. Robin glanced subconsciously, and her eyes were immediately attracted. The Book of Time. She opened the pages of the book, and more than 2 hours passed. This book contains a total of 7 rubbings of historical texts, as well as historical information collected by the Noah family from some ancient ruins, of which the Kingdom of Atlan has the most historical information. The origins of the 7 pieces of historical text come from a piece found on the bottom of the East China Sea, found 1 piece in the royal tomb of Alabasta, found 1 piece in the Alabasta Desert. 1 piece was found in the Sky Island Chandora ruins. Found 1 block on Crab Island in South Blue's Lost Sea. Found 2 pieces in the Forest of the Sea on Fishman Island. Robin let out a long breath. I didn't expect that the historical text that I dreamed of would suddenly appear in front of me with 7 rubbings. Then she asked with a hint of probing in her eyes, "Do you really not want to know the content of these historical texts?" I said you were very smart, but smart people often like to think too much. Noah's eyes were piercing, as if he had seen through Robin's heart. It doesn't record ancient weapon Poseidon and Pluto, and there is another the pirate named Joey Boy. What? Robin's breathing suddenly became rapid. You actually know the content above? So I said, your value is not great to me. Noah's indifferent expression made Robin feel helpless. Chapter 76, Changing Destiny. After a while, Robin asked, "In other words, you don't want other forces to know the content of the historical text, so I, the historian, must be under your control." That's right, even if I don't need those so-called ancient weapons, I don't want my enemies to get them. And you are one of the keys to unlocking ancient weapons. I understand, but I want to know that you can kill people and silence them. Wouldn't that be safer? Noah smiled and shook his head. You take yourself too seriously. You are not the only one who knows history. Most of the Roger pirates learned everything about the past from Rafteru. It's just that they choose to wait for the so-called child of destiny. But I am unwilling to wait. I never believe in the so-called child of destiny. So that's it. There is all the history on Ravdru. Robin suddenly realized, you are wrong again. The history of Rafdru is just Joe Boy's family story. People like to selectively write diaries, so these histories are just a history from Joe Boy's perspective. Noah flipped over the planet on the desk again. The past has long been a foregone conclusion, but the future has infinite possibilities. If I admit the so-called child of destiny, wouldn't all my efforts be meaningless? Robin felt for the first time the terrifying aura in Noah, especially the heroic and firmness that changed the world. If you want to subvert the entire world, what kind of world will you build? Noah took out 5 volumes of dragon slaying and some other books. This is the world I imagined. Even if I am shattered into pieces, my will always be imprinted on the history of civilization in this world. After finishing speaking, Noah waved his hand directly. CLO, arrange a room for Miss Robin. Leave it to me, Lord Noah. Crow nodded respectfully. Although Robin had doubts, he still left with Crow with a lot of books. After arranging the cabin, Crow gave Robin some clothes and daily necessities, and then left. Inside the room, after eating a hasty lunch, Robin couldn't wait to open the books Noah gave her, especially the set of books called 5 Volumes of Dragon Slaying. Unknowingly, night falls. However, Robin in the room was still reading at night. After reading 2 volumes, she was deeply shocked. Early the next morning, Crow delivered a breakfast. Miss Robin, although reading is important, you still need to pay attention to your health. Thank you for your concern, Mr. Crow. Robin looked tired with panda eyes, but his eyes were full of light. Crow knew that the other party did not listen, but he did not continue, but quietly left. 5 days later, the Prosperity returned to its secret base on York Island. Robin's energy and spirit had changed tremendously after she got off the boat. If she was full of confusion and fear before, at this moment, she seemed to have seen through the weirdness of the world. While meeting Noah again, Robin no longer had the anxiety he had before. Only admiration remained. Mr. Noah, York Island seems to be the base camp of the Capone family, right? Well, he has been transformed by me. Reform is just an application of devil fruit ability. For people who are full of evil and good strength, I will transform them into card apostles such as this one. As soon as he finished speaking, Apostle Shiki changed from card state to human form. Robin's eyes narrowed. Golden Lion Shiki? Little girl, I am the Golden Lion Shiki, and I am also the apostle of my Lord. Please give me your guidance in the future. Looking at the legendary pirate in front of him, Robin finally understood why Noah had the ideal to subvert the world. I am looking forward to Mr. Noah's new world more and more. You will see, but your strength is too weak. The enemies we have to face in the future are very powerful. If we don't have the strength, we may fall before dawn. Noah reminded. Robin nodded. I understand. Then please ask Mr. Noah to train me. If it were her before, she would definitely not be too keen on improving her strength, because the historical text is her obsession, and Akiji has left an invincible shadow on her. But now, not only is her obsession with historical texts greatly reduced, but she is no longer afraid of Marines and world government. She thinks it is very necessary to improve her strength. As for physical skills, let Crow teach you for a while, and I will guide you to reorganize the development of devil fruits. Development of devil fruits? Robin knew that his fruit was a flower fruit, and its potential was very weak. Seeing her expression, Noah knew that Robin thought his fruit's abilities were average. Although you have a very rich knowledge base, your ability to develop devil fruit abilities is very mediocre, and you wasted this fruit. I'm really sorry about that. Robin half-joked. The ability of Hua fruit is a combination of superpower and superhuman body. You can create flower organs outside your body, and these external organs are connected to your senses, right? Yes. Robin nodded. Then why did you reveal your identity so easily? What? Robin was confused by Noah's sudden question. That's why I said you wasted this fruit. You can bloom on your face and change your appearance and even body shape through the skin of the flower. After hearing this, Robin tried it, and sure enough, after covering his face with a layer of skin, his appearance changed somewhat. Noah released a floor-to-ceiling mirror. You can create a brand new face. After a while, Robin's face became completely different. If he was not very familiar with her figure, it would be difficult for a stranger to see through this disguise. Camouflage is just a small application of Hua fruit. Hua fruit gives you the ability to create flower organs from a long distance. If your body and physical skills are strong enough, like this, Noah's dark fingers instantly inserted into the stone in front of him. As long as your physical skills and domineering are strong enough, any target that appears within the range of your sight, hearing, and color sensing will have a hard time escaping your assassination. Robin poked the stone in front of him with his finger and found that his finger hurt. Next is the third application direction, which is also the foundation of your future strength, and that is exoskeleton derivation. You have to imitate the exoskeleton of insects and create a layer of exoskeleton and specialized organs on the body surface, so as to use this method to change the physical strength and weakness of women. Under Noah's guidance, Robin tried hard. At first, the exoskeleton she generated was strangely shaped, which not only failed to increase her strength, but also restricted her body's movements. But Noah reminded her that it was necessary to combine the exoskeleton structure of insects and the structure of the human body to make its development progress rapidly. Soon she developed the first set of exoskeleton armor, Ant King version 1.0. This is the result of Robin dissecting hundreds of ants under a microscope. After entering the Ant Queen mode, her strength increased dozens of times, but the duration was very short, probably only about 10 minutes. Noah knew that this was the result of Robin rigidly imitating the structure of an ant. Next, she would have to make constant adjustments based on her own body before she could turn it into a long-term exoskeleton mode. Chapter 77, Underground Overlord West Blue. In the waters of Caliban, the Entrang family, one of the 5 major mafia families, is entrenched here. At this time, the headquarters of the Entron family, Citrus Island. Kill. For the Godfather. A large number of criminal cannon fodder of the Capone family, wielding axes and knives, followed by ordinary guys carrying rifles and rocket launchers. As one of the supervisors, Enel looked at the cannon fodder in front of him very indifferently and did not regard these people as companions at all. After more than a year of ideological transformation, Enel finally passed the ideological examination half a year ago. At the same time, he also completed the training of physical skills and dual-color domineering. Especially in the aspect of seeing, hearing, and color, his talent is very strong, and he has the same super wide range as Noah. Type. Suddenly, a large number of mafia members from the Entrang family appeared on both sides of the street in front of them. Bang, bang, bang. The criminal cannon fodder, who rushed at the front, was immediately hit hard and soon retreated in defeat. Enel sneered, "Shoot!" Bang, bang, bang. Among the dense bullets, there were also several rockets. Boom, boom, boom. I see him. A hole, I haven't. The criminal cannon fodder was attacked from both sides and suffered heavy casualties immediately. The people in the Entlang family were also dumbfounded. But Enel had no interest in explaining to these rubbish. He swung his alloy trident and cut off a dozen criminal cannon fodder. This extremely bloody scene made everyone present shudder. This is what happens when you retreat. Follow me and charge. Enel took the lead, slaughtering all the criminal cannon fodder, who retreated in a moment, and then pounced directly on the mafia members of the Entron family. Help! Don't kill me! On this day, this citrus island was filled with blood. Soon the news of the Capone family's annexation of the Entron family spread like wildfire in the West Blue underground world. The remaining Camorra family, Omida family, and the secretly controlled Gambino family immediately linked up secretly and prepared to join forces to deal with the Capone family. It's a pity that the Camorra family and the Omida family don't know that Gambino off has become Noah's apostle. The existence of such a high-level spy is almost a fatal loophole for this so-called temporary alliance. Sea of Naples, the headquarters of the Camorra family Pearl Islands. After secretly contacting 2 other mafia families through a phone bug, Camorra Harry, the godfather of the Camorra family, did not relax at all. Have you contacted the Dirk Pirates? A bald cadre of the family shook his head. Godfather, the Dirk Pirates disappeared some time ago. Harry frowned. No, the Capone family is too strong. Other families may not be reliable. It's not good if this continues. Godfather, in fact, we can also find an antique dealer. A cadre with a sly eyebrow suggested. Antique dealer? Harry was a little undecided. It was not that the antique dealer was not strong enough, but that he was too strong, which made him very afraid. After thinking for a while, Harry still had not made up his mind. Let's discuss the matter with the antique dealer. You can contact other pirate groups. As long as they are willing to take action, the reward will be 5 billion belly. Yes, Godfather. All the family officials had no objections to Harry's decision. After all, the reputation of antique dealers in the West Blue underground world is too bad. They are a typical double-edged sword. If the Capone family is wiped out but the Camorra family suffers heavy losses, then the gain will not be worth the loss. But after a week, a sudden news shocked the slightly relaxed Camorra family. What did you say? Harry, with wide eyes, looked very ugly and shocked as he listened to his men's report. The bald cadre could only continue. Godfather, the news is true. I obtained this news through the channels of the United Chamber of Commerce. Harry gritted his teeth. A hole. Gambino off? I didn't expect you to hide it so deeply. Just now, the base camp of the Omida family, one of the 5 major mafia families, was captured by Off and his men who went to have a secret meeting. Now, the entire top management of the Omida family has been almost massacred, while the middle and lower level members have been the Gambino family quickly folded. As the Gambino family annexed the Omerta family and the Capone family annexed the Intron family, the 5 mafia family systems in the West Blue underground world fell apart. Faced with such a situation, Harry, who didn't want to sit still and wait for death, finally made up his mind. More, contact the antique dealer immediately. Yes, Godfather. More, the bald cadre, hurried to contact the antique dealer. At the same time, Mary also led members of the inspection department to conduct covert screening of the temporarily recruited members of the Intron family and the Omida family. As for those temporary recruits who have done many evil things, in the next process of conquering the Camorra family, we must find ways to consume these people. As for those temporary recruits who do not have many problems, or who only commit petty theft, they must be ideologically reshaped or sent to insignificant positions. Both sides are preparing. Before I knew it, more than a month had passed. During this period of more than a month, the Capone family and the Gambino family have been engaged in friction. On the one hand, it is to paralyze the Camorra family, and on the other hand, it is also to reasonably clear out some unqualified personnel. The Camorra family did not relax their vigilance because of the friction between the Capone family and the Gambino family. Instead, they strengthened their internal armaments. Of course, Noah, as the director behind the scenes, is very aware of the Camorra family's little moves through the winery's intelligence monitoring. However, making the other party fully prepared is also one of Noah's purposes. After all, in order to reasonably consume those unqualified cannon fodder, of course, the power of the Camorra family must be strong enough. As for the antique dealer who would intervene, Noah did not take him seriously. Even the information about antique dealers was clear to Noah. After all, the Noah family has phone bug monitoring technology. As long as they are on the monitoring list, many things can be said on the phone, which is basically equivalent to the Noah family knowing. The consequences of this one-way transparency of intelligence are very dire. On the evening of November 21st, inside the secret base on York Island, Robin walked in with a document. At this time, she had changed her appearance. Even within the family, she chose to maintain the mask. Is there any important information? Yes, it's the phone records of the antique dealer and Camorra Harry. Noah took the document, read it for a while, and suddenly raised the corner of his mouth. Not bad. This Harry still has some brains. Let Aoff go to the appointment. Okay, by the way, the Marine West Blue branch has also been paying attention to the battles in the underground world recently. Noah waved his hand. Don't worry, as long as the Gambino family and the Capone family don't decide the outcome, Marine will not take action. He has studied the West Blue pattern. West Blue has 3 major underground forces, namely the 5 Mafia, the United Chamber of Commerce, and the Babeo Navy. Whenever one of them disappears, more serious chaos will erupt in the West Blue underground world. And behind these forces, there are also nobles from various kingdoms, West Blue Marine, and global underground giants involved. Although the current appointment as the Admiral of West Blue Marine is a trick, the other party does not have the power to use Marine to clean up the Mafia. Gray forces like the Mafia are sometimes the result of compromises between all parties. Chapter 78 Counterattack. It is November 28th, 1507 in the High Yuan calendar. The West Tower Sea area is also the sea area where the famous West Sky Summit is located. This sea area is in the middle of West Blue, just between the spheres of influence of the Gambino family and the Camorra family. Therefore, this secret meeting was naturally chosen here. And in order to dispel Off's vigilance, Harry also specially selected an island closer to the Gambino family, Red Coral Island. On the sea east of Red Coral Island, a fleet flying the flag of the Camorra family slowly approached the port of Coral Town on Red Coral Island. Alf, who arrived in Coral Town in advance, brought many members with him to clean up, but he expelled all the residents near the port to other places. At this time, among the Camorra family's fleet, an old man wearing a gentleman's hat was standing on the bow of the ship, looking at the approaching dock and the faintly visible members of the Gambino family above. Next to him was Moore, the bald cadre of the Camorra family. At this time, He was observing the situation on the dock with a telescope. Mr. Hanover, off the Gambino family, is on the dock. Don't worry. Ha ha ha. Hanover, the antique dealer, laughed strangely and played with the pistol in his hand. For Hanover, who was full of confidence, Moore did not really care about the other party, but was worried that the other party would not be able to kill off and others, causing losses to the Kimura family. 10 minutes later, the fleet finally entered the dock area, less than 200 meters away from the dock. Moore, where is that guy, Harry? Alf called loudly. Naturally, Moore didn't want to be exposed now, so he immediately responded, Godfather Alf, my godfather will come out for a meeting soon. Hanover, who was hiding behind several Kimura Mafia, suddenly raised his hand and shot. Corrosive bullet. In an instant, 6 bullets were fired. Alf, who was on the dock, had already sensed the danger through his sight and color. He jumped away, and several cannon fodder as guards were instantly hit by corrosive bullets. Ah! Sizzling, as if being splashed with concentrated sulfuric acid. These people's bodies suddenly sizzled and smoked amidst the shrill screams, and then turned into a pile of bones. Fire! Hidden artillery was pushed out from the fleet's cabin, and gunmen quickly rushed out, shooting and bombing members of the Gambino family on the dock. Bang, bang, bang. Boom, boom, boom. Ah! Hurry and take cover. Fight back. Help! There was chaos on the pier, but Aof, who had jumped to the top of a tall building, and several members of the Noah family were watching this scene very calmly. Hanover's pistol kept firing, but any person or object hit by its bullets would be corroded and dissolved in a large area. Soon those unqualified members on the dock were wiped out. Then a large number of Kimura family mafia boarded the pier and began to surround the high-rise buildings of Off and others. When Moore saw this scene in front of him, he immediately burst out laughing. Off, the end of your Gambino family has come. You are so confident. Aof looked at the proud Moore and Hanover not far away with a calm expression. The next moment, Alf's shirt exploded, his body expanded in a large circle, and he entered the half-orc form of a bully dog. What? Ability user? Moore was startled. Hanover looked disdainful. Is this your confidence? It's really boring. Corrosive bullet. The bullet penetrated Alf's body, hit the tiles behind him, and corroded a large hole. But Hanover's face became cautious, and he exhaled suddenly. Corrosive air. Ah! The few surrounding Kimura Mafia, who had no time to escape, were corrupted beyond recognition and rolled crazily on the ground. However, this kind of gas that can corrode all things met Alf, who was covered in armed colors. In an instant, Alf appeared in front of Hanover. Armed color? Damn it. Fist of corrosion. Boom! Alf punched instantly, sweeping out a shock wave. Hanover's eyes widened in anger as he was knocked several hundred meters away by the iron fist shock wave, directly smashing through the ship at the dock and falling into the sea. Garbage, another half-empty person who only develops his abilities without training his body. From the time Alf transformed and took action to when Hanover was knocked into the sea, only 10 seconds passed. Moore, who had just woken up from a dream, was already cold all over, and his hands and feet were shaking involuntarily. I vote. The heart in his chest was instantly pulled out, and Moore fell down with his eyes open. Aof casually crushed his heart. The family doesn't need garbage. Soon the mafia brought over by the Kimura family was bloodbathed. The antique merchant Hanover was also fished out of the sea. This guy has the corrosion fruit ability, and his ability is similar to Marine Zion's rust fruit. While Ofa dealt with the members of the Kimura family brought over by Moore. The Kimura family's base camp was also raided by Becky. Harry and other senior members of the Kimura family were wiped out. At this point, 3 of the 5 major West Blue Mafia families were completely destroyed, leaving only the Capone family and the Gambino family. On the surface, the 2 families are in friction, but in fact they are helping each other eliminate dissidents. And at the same time, they are rapidly taking over the spheres of influence of the other 3 mafia families. The other forces in West Blue had to give up the idea of taking advantage of the situation when they saw that the Capone family and the Gambino family had maintained restraint and were evenly matched, while the Noah family was busy attacking the West Blue Mafia. The Grand Line, Paradise. Marie Joa on the Red Earth continent. At this time, the fire was blazing into the sky. Amid the chaos and fire, a large number of slaves took the opportunity to escape from Mariajoya. The ships that had been prepared long ago under the Red Earth continent rescued thousands of slaves. Fishman Tiger is lucky, because the five elders were not in Mariajoya tonight, but went to Egghead Island. Porcelino also went to support Sengoku against the crazy Kaido because of the New World incident. Kazan has been wandering around South Blue recently, seemingly looking for traces of Noah and his party, and has not returned to Marine headquarters. Garp went back to Donghai to see his grandson again. Crane also goes to North Blue to hunt down the Don Quixote family. At this time, there are only Fleet Admiral Sora, Grand Instructor Zephyr, and Lieutenant General Guion among the top Marine leaders at Marine headquarters. One of the three must stay in Marine land. Therefore, only Sora and Guion attacked. Unfortunately, neither of them had control skills. With the secret help of Rayleigh and Shaki, the escaped ships quickly completed the coating. After diving to the bottom of the sea, Sora and Guion could only sigh in despair. This incident instantly detonated the sea, especially Morgan's, who was worried about the world being in chaos. So he wrote the news on the headlines the next day. Obviously, this matter can no longer be hidden, and the world government can only issue a notice to arrest the Sun Pirates and the mastermind Tiger. Fortunately, Tiger was not too brainless and knew to cut off the relationship with the Dragon Palace Kingdom in advance and become a wanted criminal in the Dragon Palace Kingdom. Otherwise, the world government would definitely attack the Dragon Palace Kingdom. The five elders who had just returned to Mariajoya did not say anything on the surface, but in their hearts they were already thinking about how to deal with the Dragon Palace Kingdom. Chapter 79, adding another apostle, the secret unification of the West Blue Mafia has greatly increased the power of the Noah family. Noah did not set sail again, but continued to stay in the secret base on York Island. At this time, he had completed the apostolic creation of the sixth major arcana card. Noah currently has 6 major arcana apostles, namely Devil, Pan Button Exchange Fruit, Emperor, Shiki, Piao Piao Fruit Shinigami, Mizuru Fruit, Justice, Gayram, Cube Fruit, World, Capone Becky Castle Fruit, Hermit, Hanover, Corrosion Fruit. The Corrosion Fruit enhances Noah's attack strength. The ability of this fruit is very simple and crude. That is, it corrodes everything. Even the armed, domineering spirit can be corroded. Of course, in order to corrode the opponent's weapon color, the premise is that one's physical strength is sufficient and the sight color must be stronger than the opponent's. Otherwise, one will fall into a dilemma where the attack is very powerful but cannot hit the opponent. After obtaining the 6th apostle of the major arcana deck, Noah's card fruit has become further powerful, and the progress of the fruit's full awakening has reached about 27%. Moreover, the fruit abilities that he can borrow have also been increased from 1 before to 2. However, Noah also used tarot cards for divination and knew that his body could only accommodate up to 3 exogenous devil fruit abilities at the same time. In other words, even if Noah reaches the fruit awakening state, he can only use the fruit abilities of 3 apostles at the same time in addition to his own card fruit. This is also expected. After all, the human body has its limits unless we stop being human. However, his apostles themselves are made from human bodies as raw materials, so their strength can be continuously strengthened through their own cultivation. In the training ground, Noah controlled the power of corrosion, fused it into the iron sand, and then borrowed the control power of the Piao Piao fruit. The corrosive sand instantly corroded the rock wall ahead with dense holes. If a trypophobia patient saw this scene, he would probably go into shock on the spot. The combined use of the 2 fruit abilities is indeed very difficult. But Noah had already expected this result. He took out Big Bear's card, Steel Fruit. It seems that it must be reshaped. Previously, because Noah did not fully understand the awakening mechanism of the card fruit, he thought that he had to collect both the minor arcana and the major arcana in order to complete the fruit awakening. Now that we know that we only need to collect the major arcana deck to complete the fruit awakening, the previously transformed Big Bear is not suitable to remain in the minor arcana deck. He placed the palm of his hand on the Big Bear's forehead, instantly pulled out the card's spirit lodged in it, and then took out the power card from the major arcana deck. Merge! The Big Bear's body was once again wrapped in a golden cocoon. Soon the seventh apostle in the major arcana deck was born. Power, Big Bear Steel Fruit. Noah's card fruit is one step closer to awakening. With the transformation of the Big Bear into the major arcana card, Noah's connection with this card became even closer. In fact, the steel fruit is no less important to Noah at this stage than the Piao Piao fruit, because among the 7 apostles of the major arcana, only the steel fruit and the castle fruit are the superhuman type, and the rest are the superpower and supercreation type. The castle fruit is not strong enough to improve physical strength. Noah himself is an ordinary human being. Even if he takes the source blood potion to enhance his physical fitness, there is still a bottleneck in this improvement. If you want to fight against masters who possess phantom beast species, the steel fruit must be a regular weapon. For example, the physical fitness of beings at the level of Sengoku, Kaido, and the 5 elders is basically the highest in the world. Without a talented body, Noah can only make up for the gap with the fantasy beast species through the steel fruit. Fortunately, Noah's Conquerors is very powerful. After so many years of psychological suggestion and ideological construction, his Conquerors has undergone obvious mutations. At this time, his Conquerors, in a highly condensed state, was not the dark or purple color of ordinary Conquerors, but red. In fact, this variation is very normal, because domineering is the condensation and extension of a person's will, courage, and emotion. Ambitious people, or lawless people, their Conqueror's color is black or purple, which is also the mainstream color of Conquerors. For thoughts like Noah, the Conquerors is naturally red. Of course, Noah's Conquerors didn't just change color. This mutation gave his Conquerors some brand new abilities. The first ability is Spiritual Resonance, which is similar to the ability of Princess Otoheim of Ryugu Kingdom to see, hear, and see. The second ability is Red Torrent, which is also the core ability of Noah's Conquerors. As long as anyone has the same thoughts as Noah, their willpower can be integrated into Noah's Conquerors. However, this ability is limited in scope. Currently, only the willpower of companions within a radius of 3 kilometers can be mobilized. His Red Torrent has an effect similar to that of Swordsman. It can also be wrapped around the armed color to break the defense of others. Its defense-breaking effect is even more powerful than Liu Ying's. In fact, Red Torrent and Spiritual Resonance are a combination of skills. People who do not agree with Noah's thoughts cannot connect through Spiritual Resonance. Without this connection, they will naturally not be able to integrate their willpower into Noah's Conqueror's domination. The Red Torrent also has a reverse application, which is to allow partners who agree with Noah's thoughts to gain immunity to others' Conqueror's pressure within a specific range. However, Noah has never really tried this application. After all, so far, the Noah family has not fought against an enemy with Conqueror's domineering power. The training on the training ground continues. At this moment, Robin appeared on the edge of the training ground. Noah stopped, and Tai Sha picked up the towel in the lounge. While wiping his sweat, he asked, "What's the matter?" News came from North Blue that Doflamingo hijacked a treasure ship transporting heavenly gold. From the call records, the other party planned to use this to coerce the 5 elders into becoming Shichibukai. Noah picked up the lemonade. It's a choice that puts the cart before the horse. Without strength, so what if you become a Shichibukai? The sea is about strength. Robin continued to report the information. Marine Hunter Mihawk accepted the world government's invitation and became the 3rd Shichibukai. Terror Weapon Dahlia became the 4th Shichibukai. Terrorist Weapon? That weapon fruit ability user? Where is he? Currently in the waters off Orlando in New World. Let the winery strengthen monitoring. Noah ordered. No problem, Robin continued. The East China Sea branch found a valuable target, a user with imitation fruit ability named Von Clay, but the opponent entered the Grand Line yesterday. Imitation fruit? Noah took a sip of lemonade unmoved. The lurking personnel in the Sabaody Islands sent back news that the intelligence personnel of the Big Mom Pirates purchased a devil fruit in the Sabaody Islands, which has been identified as Paramecia's reheat fruit. Noah narrowed his eyes slightly. Rare fruit? Can you determine the opponent's location? She should still be on Fishman Island now. When Noah heard the news, another thought came to his mind. Why go to Fishman Island? Could it be that Charlotte Bray hasn't eaten the mirror fruit yet? After all, For such an important devil fruit, if it were the Noah family, Alii would definitely be dispatched as soon as possible to bring it back to the family. At this time, the intelligence officers of the Big Mom Pirates chose to pass through Fishman Island. This can only mean one problem. That is, Charlotte Bray has not obtained the mirror fruit yet. Chapter 80 Take action January 8th, 1508 in the High Yuan calendar. New World, Thor Island route. Noah and his team, who jumped through the wormhole a few days ago and came to the sea area, were currently over Thor Island. In addition to Crow, Robin, and Daz who followed Noah, Joshua from the South Blue Storm Islands also followed. At this time, Joshua had entered the elemental state and turned into a bolt of lightning wandering among the thunder of Thunder God Island. What a terrifying power! Daz looked at the dark clouds below, which were densely covered with endless thunder and electric snakes. This is also the natural disaster restricted area caused by the awakening of the two fruits they have encountered so far. After the hurricane fruit awakens, it creates a sea of loss. The Thunder God Island in front of us is obviously a natural disaster restricted area caused by the awakening of the thunder fruit. Noah shook his head and explained, "It's not that simple. After the thunder fruit awakens, it will be difficult to form Thunder God Island. Is there any secret in this?" Robin was a little confused. To form such a natural disaster restricted area, it is difficult to achieve it by awakening fruits alone, especially Logia that has no fixed substance such as thunder fruit and hurricane fruit. Noah pointed to the Thunder God Island below. The answer to the reason why this island can maintain a state of dense thunder for a long time is that this island is rich in iron ore. These iron ores are smelted by the power of thunder and gradually become magnets. This is how Thunder God Island can be maintained for a long time. I see. Noah continued to popularize science. The Lost Sea itself is a relatively stormy sea area. Under the attack of the world government's ancient weapon, Atlan Island turned into a huge underwater abyss, allowing underground magma to continuously gush out from this loophole. This gives the hurricane a huge heat supply, thereby maintaining long-term storm disasters. Everyone suddenly realized. In fact, the Judiciary Island under the world government has the special feature of always being in daylight, which is also caused by an awakened level fruit ability user. This ability user is most likely to be the Shining Fruit. The Logia Devil Fruit is called a natural disaster because it has the ability to semi-permanently change the climate of a local area. Half an hour later, a bolt of lightning flew onto the deck of the Nautilus, and Joshua regrouped from the lightning. "How?" Noah asked. Joshua shook his head. "There is nothing to refer to, but I can use the lightning on this island to increase the battery life and expand the range of electromagnetic wave monitoring." "How much can it be expanded?" "The limit is probably around a radius of 2,600 kilometers. Noah touched the stubble on his chin. 2,600 kilometers? Even Mary Joa on the Red Earth continent is included. Crow took out the world map and calculated it using a scale. It is indeed within 2,600 kilometers. The Red Soil continent in the Mariajoya section is only about 1,500 kilometers away from Thor Island. Noah immediately ordered, "Joshua, you should use Thunder God Island to monitor the surrounding waters, especially the ship of the Big Mom Pirates." "Leave it to me." Joshua turned into a bolt of lightning again and merged into the thunder clouds below. Noah, on the other hand, maintains contact with Joshua through electromagnetic waves. The morning of the third day, Noah suddenly opened his eyes, and Joshua regrouped in front of him from the lightning. "Brother, the target has appeared. It is 436 kilometers northwest of us. They have just risen from the bottom of the sea. Come on, let's go meet them for a while." The Nautilus quickly set sail and headed northwest at full speed. In less than 4 hours, the Homage ship created from the Soul fruit was under the Nautilus. Joshua quickly used wireless power transmission to kill the nearby newsbirds within dozens of kilometers, and at the same time used electromagnetic interference to prevent the surrounding phone buds from communicating. Noah and others also put on masks and white suits and raided the Homage ship below directly from high altitude. Inside the Homage ship, Charlotte Owen, the fourth son of the Charlotte family, suddenly changed his face and rushed out of the cabin in an instant. Boom! The next moment, the Hamid ship was hit by a terrifying molten iron fist and instantly torn apart. The ordinary pirates of the Charlotte family on board were also stunned by the attack and could not react at all. Owen, who was riding the moonwalk, looked at the man in a white suit and mask falling from the sky, his expression extremely ugly. CP organization? Are you going to start a war with us? It seems that you have eaten the riri fruit. What a pity. Noah saw Owen, who was all red, and knew that the other party had already eaten the riri fruit. Right now, Sir Owen, there is no way for phone bugs to communicate. Owen's heart suddenly sank just when he was about to run away. A stream of red conquerors came straight towards him. How is it possible? Owen's eyes widened, and the moonwalk under his feet almost couldn't hold on. Kowloon stalks and kills. The sea surged suddenly, and 9 water dragons exploded, wrapping around Owen in all directions. What? This kind of ability? Owen was shocked. His feet immediately turned red, and he used heated air to violently rise to high altitudes. Dark clouds are over the horizon. The cumulus emperor clouds that had long been scattered in the surrounding airspace instantly turned into huge palms that covered the sky and sun, pressing down on Owen. Owen's hands were red, and he struck upward with all his strength. Hot Wind Fist. The extremely hot fist blast penetrated the palm of Dark Cloud's giant palm. Before Owen could be happy, a dozen Dark Cloud pythons quickly emerged from the giant palm of the Dark Cloud and attacked around him. The sea dragon below also rose into the sky. Damn it, this is the power of the Piao Piao fruit. Could it be that the old guy from the Golden Lion was killed? Owen angrily chased away a Dark Cloud python. However, he did not realize the seriousness of the problem. The dark clouds were dispersed, but the sea floor stone content contained in them was floating in the air. After a while, Owen felt his body getting heavier and heavier. What's going on? These dark clouds are poisonous. The more he struggled, the more components of Hailu stone breathed into his body, and the weaker the fruit ability in his body became. In less than 3 minutes, Irving fell down, unable to do anything. Noah's iron sand mixed with sea stones wrapped the fallen Owen, and then returned to the Nautilus, and Joshua also returned to the deck. The pirates in the ship below have been completely cleared. Very good. Noah sent Owen directly into the castle space in his body, and then stabbed him inside. After a while, the hot fruit was forced to be reborn in the castle space. After the blood was drawn from Owen's body, it was directly electrocuted into char. The Nautilus quickly sped towards West Blue. At the same time, the Kingdom of Totland in the New World, on the Cake Island, Homais, who was responsible for managing the family's life paper, was shocked. Oh no, Mr. Owen's life paper is burning. Soon, Katakuri and Perispero rushed to the dessert house where the life paper was stored. At this time, Owen's life paper has been burned out. Chapter 81 Eden Level the death of Charlotte Owen made the entire Big Mom Pirates extremely furious. Soon the Big Mom Pirates issued tens of billions of bounties in the New World and the Underworld. It's a pity that Noah does things cleanly and neatly. Even the underground intelligence giant Morgans has no way of knowing who did this, let alone other underground giants. The only person who may know the truth is Violet, the second princess of the Kingdom of Dressrosa. The maximum coverage radius of her staring fruit can reach 4,000 kilometers. The Isle of Thunder is only about 790 kilometers away from the Kingdom of Dressrosa. If Violet had observed here that day, she could have seen the battle scene between Noah and Owen. It's a pity that Noah has been wary of each other for a long time. On the day of the operation, Champagne arranged for his subordinates to deliberately set fire to a small forest near the coast of Dressrosa Island. Therefore, Violet can only focus on the Kingdom of Dressrosa and beware of possible enemies. The furious Big Mom pirates caused trouble in the New World, but attracted the attention of Marine and other big pirates. After Noah returned to West Blue's York Island base, he didn't stay too long. He quickly jumped through the wormhole and arrived at Lion Island in the Paradise Sky Governor's District. Lord Noah, long time no see. Monet greeted him with a smile. Is work going well? Monet nodded. There is no big problem. The defense system of the air island has been initially improved. She introduced the specific situation of Sky Island to Noah. At present, the Paradise Sky Governor-General has jurisdiction over a total of 15 Sky Islands, including 11 islands including Lion Island, Feather Island, Angel Island, Field Island, and Shangaya Island in the core area, and 4 outpost islands, namely Burka Island in the south, Gluttony Island in the east, Dark Cloud Island in the west, and Tianchi Island in the north. The total population is 53,000 and the regular army is 3,500. It has 4 medium-sized flying arcs and a 1,000-man air cavalry unit. The commander of the Sky Legion is Weepa. Although the regular army only has 3,500 people, the militia has about 8,300 people. These militiamen are reserve forces, and they will all receive preliminary training in domineering and physical skills. The Kongdao area specialty, the Kongdao shellfish breeding industry, has also developed very quickly, especially with the help of Andy, Luo, and others. Some rare shellfish that were on the verge of extinction have been restored to population size. For example, the impact shells and laser shells, these 2 types of empty island shells, have recovered from their previous endangered status to a population with more than 2,000 shells. Noah visited the mechanical island located northwest of Lion Island. This empty island was specially used to transform the Flying Arkansas. He saw Luo, who was busy on a ship. "Is this the Eden-class Ark?" Seeing Noah's arrival, Luo quickly stopped what he was doing and respectfully caved. "Yes, Noah's family. This is the Eden-class Ark you envisioned. The difference between the Ark in front of you and an ordinary medium-sized Ark is that its surface is covered with a layer of dark green scales. These scales are actually the leaves of a plant native to Sky Island. The characteristic of the Eden-class Ark is that it is transformed into life. This ship is essentially a tree, and it can rely on photosynthesis to store energy. As for its power and weapons, Luo used the fruits of surgery to transplant part of the functional organs of the Sky Island.
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.